What's up, everybody? Walmart. We're back. We're back, baby, again.
Not a bad fish right there, guys.
Oh, no.
PETA. Out here catching Folsom bass right now, dude. Woo, he's a little chunker.
What up, what up, what up? So for the behind the scenes, this is the second try. Just to let you know if I sound really awkward right now, it's because I tried to do this and then my internet went out. And if you know me, you understand because you've dealt with my crappy internet before at some point or another. I am Dave Erkey, the host of the Whole Angler podcast. And today I'm really interested. Actually, I'm super excited because I got a buddy on here and he has a life that I know nothing about. I mean, I know small portions and parts for sure, but his style of life and my style of life are two completely different directions in life. And so I'm super interested to hear everything about this. I hope you guys are too. So without any further introduction, I'm going to go ahead and bring my buddy on, Joe Brown.
What's up?
What's up, bud? Try two.
Take two. That's all right. That's all right.
Yep. So if anybody's, not that anybody cares, but the backstory behind me and Joe is we actually got to meet face to face for the first time in the Columbus Fishing Expo, and I made that interaction extremely awkward. But
okay.
Joe was a gentleman, and he humored me through the whole conversation.
Yeah, I mean we're both super introverts, and they took the two introverts and the socially awkward people and put them in the same room in the same area together. So it was just gonna be weird and awkward no matter what.
Well, it worked out good because then we got to get to know each other a little bit. And
It did.
Now it's awesome. And so, Joe, go ahead and tell everybody, besides the Columbus Fishing Expo, how do I know you, dude? Like, where do people know you from?
Yeah, man. So I'm a co-host of the Jigs and Bigs podcast with the one and only Bobby Roast Beef. I've been on there for about 2 years now, or just under 2 years. They took me on the podcast's been going for more than that, but they kind of took me on later. Kind of get my big boat tournament perspective into the show. We mesh well together because we're completely different people, especially when it comes to fishing and angling. Bobby's more that multi-species from the bank boat, kayak, like he kind of does it all, whereas like I'm ultra hyper focus on bass fishing, especially tournament fishing, the bass boat kind of stuff. So also you might see me on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok, American Vet Fishing. I'm in there. I do pretty well on those, so you may have seen me. I may have come across your feed at some point there as well.
And if not, go search him down and follow him because it's always something cool. He just finished the tournament with Zach from Dark Horse Tackle, yeah?
Yeah, dude. We just finished that tournament up on the St. Lawrence River. We had a blast. We didn't get into the weight that we needed or we caught a ton of fish. It just was not, we couldn't get into the big mamas. And, quick funny story behind that is I knew the big ones were going to be in the lake, but I'm like the worst big lake fisherman ever because I get wicked seasick, dude. I grew up, it's kind of wild because I grew up deep sea fishing, man, and then just kind of one day, probably 7 years ago, I went out on a trip because I used to go out on them all the time. I went on deep sea fish with my dad and my stepdad, and I just got sick that time, the first time ever, and dude, it was like a switch flipped. I get friggin' sick all the time now if I'm on big water.
So, okay, first off, I'm curious how you feel comfortability wise moving on in the tournament circuit. If you're going to start going for big tournaments, we'll talk about it later, but if you start going for big tournaments, what you're going to do in that scenario, I do want to talk about that later. But second off, I just have a point of perspective that I feel it's happened in my life and the life of others. I feel like I used to go on roller coasters. I used to do dumb stuff. Like it was all good all the time. I could handle it. And then I don't know, about 5 or 6 years ago, I went on a roller coaster. I didn't feel so good, dude. And then now my son wants to go on all these roller coasters and spin rooms and all this stuff. And I'm like, no, dude, I don't know. It's like something that happened when I was younger. It didn't affect me. And now that I'm older, I don't know if it's the more ear hair in my ears is setting off like my inner ear. I don't know what it is, dude. Like the older I get,
I think a
more
lot of it, I
autistic
think
get.
once it happens once to you, probably 90% of it is, mental. And I cannot overcome it, man. Like I could deal, like it was, dude, going out there, I was like, oh my God, these waves, I'm going to get seasick. So I instantly psyched myself out. You know what I mean? And like, I got out, like driving and stuff, I'm fine, cause obviously I operate my boat everywhere. Going out there and we're in like 4 or 5 footers, dude. And then like, Zach's smiling, laughing, having a good old time.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I also, I forgot to put my butt seat on the front of my boat. So I had no seat. So dude, it was I mean, we had like 4 foot, rollers, probably 2 foot chop, 3 foot chop. Dude, I had to, in order to like look at live scope and like operate my trolling motor, I had to get like on all fours to look. Cause like if I kept putting my, oh yeah, dude, if I kept putting my foot on the trolling motor, I was going off, dude. There was no way I was going to be able to stay on. Yeah, it was wild.
I don't blame you, bro. Like, I don't think people understand, like, because we deal, or at least I deal a lot with people in the kayak community, but I've been a part of the big boats, and when you're on a trolling motor, you're basically balancing on one leg. Like, you don't put a whole lot of weight on that because that's your moving gas foot. Like, left, right, all that stuff is all on one foot. So the other foot, you're basically posted on one leg all day. So 100%. If you're going up and down at 4 feet, I don't understand it. And another thing, I just want to know. I hate to ask because it's not really a question that I'm super interested in asking all the time, but what are you throwing in 4 foot like rollers? Because I mean, if it was a crankbait, it would just like every time you hit a roll and go down, wouldn't it like pulse the bait a little bit faster, or like
drop shots, man? Drop shots, heavy neds, stuff like that. Yeah.
Are you like dipping the rod with the wave so that it doesn't come off the bottom, or is it jumping 4 feet every time the boat goes
basically, basically the way I kind of do it is, you always have to have a little bit of slack in line to kind of make that difference up. So it's not pulling that bait off the bottom when you don't want it to. Big thing is obviously just keeping that bottom contact, and usually you have to have a good amount of slack in the line. You can usually fire and adjust pretty quick to kind of see how it's going to manipulate your line. So it's just constantly changing, because obviously you're going to move with the wind, boat, waves and stuff like that. But it's an art form, man, for sure. It's tough. It's
absolutely.
It's tough. So it's like, you're either, when you're up there at the St. Lawrence, you're either dealing with that or the crazy current, most of the time. And, I was like, Zach, I know some spots on the river. We're going to deal with the current versus the waves, because I'll be blowing chunks here in a minute. So he's like, yeah, man, that's cool. I don't care. I'm having a blast. I was like, all right.
And he's in the back of the boat, so he's getting the tail end of everything. You're head over the roller, but then he's just getting the slap. Like,
yeah, it was funny. I made it. I told he like went to the back of the boat instantly. I was like, oh no, dude. I was like, it's just 2 of us. Like, the deck on this boat is huge. Like, get up here and fish, and so you can look at the live scope and shit too. So, yeah, I ripped him up to the front of the boat pretty quick.
That's awesome. Awesome. That's really cool. You as a boater too. That's super cool, because I don't own a boat, so I am back of the boat boy, and I am net boy, and I am give me my drink boy, or whatever, park my car boy. Like, so for you to let him up on the front deck, that's cool, man. That's really cool.
Yeah, man. We had a blast.
Respect. Okay, so you were not born with a fishing rod in your hand, right?
I was not, man. So I was
Where
born
and when?
I was born in Massachusetts, 1984. I'm turning 40 in like 2 weeks here. Big 40. So yeah, man. So I grew up I was born essentially to a single mom. My dad wasn't in the picture, kind of deal. And growing up as like a young kid, until my stepdad came into the picture, it was always my grandfather that was kind of like my father figure, when he could, because he had so many other grandchildren and grandsons and stuff. So, and he, the thing he would do to bring us all out is, he would take us fishing. We have like the local fishing game clubs and stuff like that. That would be where the town I grew up in Spencer, Massachusetts. They had a nice fishing game club, so they stocked trout and stuff like that. So he would just bring us up there and like let us go at it for a few hours at a time, because especially me, not having that father figure, he really made he really did a good job of kind of focusing on me and my needs, with my mom being a single mom working and everything. And then, you know, around 5 or 6 years old, I kind of got my mom met this gentleman who is now my stepdad, but he's the one that really like hammered fishing into me. He's a huge sportsman. He was big into fishing, hunting, and he kind of like, he's the one that really like gave me the bug. Like it was almost like he kind of like forced me into it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like cause you know, I grew up in I grew up very low income and in a lower income area. So, you know, a lot of the kids weren't really doing good stuff, and he didn't want me to get into that shit. And, so, you know, fishing was like, it became a big deal to me. Unfortunately, like him and I's relationship strained a bit. I mean, he's still my stepdad now, you know, I love him to death. He's my kid's pop, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But, I being like a young rebellious kid, dude, I kind of hated him for being so hard on me. You know what I mean? Like in when you're a young kid, you don't look at, you know, it took me a long time to look at the hindsight of it. Like he was hard on me because he was seeing the way some of my cousins and my immediate family were turning out. Some of the kids I hung out with. So he was hard as hell on me, man. Like, and I just like loathed him because of it. And it took a long time to kind of understand that, a little longer than I wish it did, unfortunately. But yeah, he, one thing he always did, dude, I grew up, he would take me up to, the Salmon River in New York. I didn't grow up into bass fishing. I grew up into like multi-species, man. Like a lot of trout, a lot of salmon, stuff like that. It was just kind of like whatever was biting.
Yeah.
A lot of
And the
ocean
closest
fish.
body of water. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, and I went up to Salmon River, which is actually off of Lake Ontario, kind of in the vicinity, just a little bit more south of St. Lawrence River. But doing the salmon run every year from the time I was like 8 years old.
Shoulder to shoulder, throwing eggs.
Oh, dude, so bad. So, dude, it honestly took us we went up there religiously, dude. I can't believe we could. And this is kind of that like that focus, that like drive that my stepdad had. Dude, we didn't catch a fish for the first 5 years we were going up there, just because we couldn't figure it the fuck out, dude. And like finally, he's just like, we would try different tactics every single year. And finally he kind of like, you know, and dude, the locals don't tell you shit. They're like, they hate the fact that, you know, other people are up there. Yeah. And finally he kind of like befriended this dude, that was actually from PA. He kind of was like, hey man, it's the stupidest rig, dude. We still use it to this day. It's just a weight, and you take a piece of sponge. Like a piece of sponge, dude, to float the hook up. And obviously you can't snag these fish. Like that's super illegal. Okay. And these fish aren't eating. They're going up to spawn, dude. They're not eating. Yeah. They're going up to essentially go up the river and die. Mm-hmm. But the way they swim is they swim, you know, opening the mouths, closing the mouths. Yeah. So the way you're catching them is them basically running into your line. So you have that line and they come by, open their mouth. That line just catches their mouth, and it pulls that sponge that you have to float that hook down, and then hooks them in the mouth as they're swimming away.
So you're using their breathing. You're all, breathe this hook. That's awesome.
Literally. And dude, after we figured that out, we just started smashing them. And it was, dude, and that was like, I was like this. I mean, and we're talking 15 to 30 pound fish. You know what I mean? In this low river, it was awesome. It was like those king salmon, just amazing. But yeah, dude, that's like where the fishing bug like really hit me was up in New York. You know, I had fun hitting the perch and the little bass and the little trout around here, but where like I really caught that bug was I'd say up there.
Dude, I mean, and for 5 years going and getting skunked, like to get that first fish, dude.
I didn't catch my first fish till I was like 11 or 12 years old.
Yeah. Props to that, dude. That's
my
dedication.
First fish up there, yeah.
Yeah, like it's so hard. Like I try and take my son fishing, and some days are a grind. And kids aren't into grinds. They're into instant gratification. So
yeah, exactly. And I got two stepsons, or I have three stepsons. The oldest is 16. Not fishing is not his thing. Wants nothing to do with it, and I respect that. Then I have twin stepsons, 10 years old.
Mhm.
One of them isn't into fishing so much. The other one, dude, that's like it's like kind of turning into his passion. And I've been starting to share kind of his stuff on social media and whatnot, on my social media, to like where he's really caught that bug and kind of starting to make it his passion. I brought him up to the St. Lawrence River. I've brought him up to the Salmon River and stuff, and he's just like, now what he wants to do is he wants to start a fishing team or go to one of the local high schools with a fishing team. He wants to fish in college. You know what I mean? He's like,
Hell
dude,
yeah,
he's like, I want to fish professionally and do social and do like a YouTube channel, social media about fishing. I was like, hell yeah, dude. I was like, let's do it. I was like, I will friggin' help you.
Dude, that's awesome. And
So-
I've seen you out there with him, like doing it.
Yeah.
Like he's not just your net guy. Like he's pulling in
No,
fish
dude.
too, dude.
Oh,
That's so awesome.
That kid has gotten onto some donks this year. He's really caught because I have a couple good smallmouth areas around me. Nothing like the St. Lawrence River, but he's really caught that bug, the smallmouth bug, and dude, he loves it. He's becoming really comfortable with stuff I'm not as comfortable with. Like I'm forcing myself to get used to current and going up rivers and and stuff. And he's like, that's what he's starting with. Like I didn't start touching current until I was like really tournament fishing, 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And he's learning on that. So he wants it. What's great about him is he doesn't just go out there and just like throw. He like breaks the water down. He breaks the area, the structure. He's in there. I mean, I put up a video on social media recently of I let him take the helm of my boat. I just had an idle. I was right next to him up on the St. Lawrence, using the side scan and everything. He's like looking for structure, and like you can see him like pointing, like talking to me like, hey, I kind of want to hit this, and like I was like, all right, man. I mean, he's 10 years old, so it's awesome.
You're breeding a monster, is what you're doing, dude.
I know, I really am, and I'm you know what? I'm okay with it because I'm okay. He likes playing video games. I'm good with that because I was the same way, but I don't want that to be his thing. Like that's all he does. Like I love that he loves going outside with me, traveling, and yeah, it's been a blast, dude.
Dude, that's so awesome, man.
Yep.
Like I'm stoked for you that you get to do that for you too. Like that's definitely for him. Don't get me wrong. Like, that is selflessly for him, and he is loving that, dude. But you get to be a part of that journey. Like that's so sick.
Yeah, it's great, dude. And it's nice because my childhood was much different. Growing up, we didn't have shit for money, dude. Like we were broker than broke, you know what I mean? Like, and like, I'm in a, my wife and I are in a place right now where, we do pretty well for ourselves. So I'm able to like, I tell him all the time, I was like, dude, I wish I had a bass boat to fish off of when I was your age, or like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, dude.
If he's like, oh man, he's like, I really like those baits and stuff like that. I was like, dude, cool, I'll get them for you. Like what? How? Like, you know what I mean? Like I'm not, but at the same time, he's the kind of kid who's like, dude, I will take out the trash. He's like, we have like turkeys and chickens and stuff. He's like, you want me to go like clean up the coop, like do all that? Like this kid, we really like lucked out with this kid. It's awesome,
dude. Yeah, that's so sweet. That's like, it's hard as a kid to have that motivation. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it is. They're
just
like
5 minutes in one thing, 5 minutes in the next thing, and to have him already like hyper focusing on this, like you've really done a good job with him. Like that's not pushing somebody, that's just guiding them, and that's a big difference.
Exactly, exactly. Because that's the last thing I want to do, because his brother, the other twin. They are the worst twins ever, by the way. They don't even like each other. I was like, you guys are broken, dude. I was like, you're a broken set of twins. But at the same time with him, dude, it's like his big thing has been like, he's really into like cars and dirt bikes and stuff like that. And, like, dude, I was into that shit when I was a kid, but my parents didn't have the money to get me any of that. You know what I mean? Like I rode like BMX and stuff, but I always had like the the cheapest mongoose and like shit like that. And, so he, so he told me, he's like, I'm really into dirt bikes. I really wanted, so dude, I went and got him a dirt bike. You know what I mean? And that's so like while one of the brothers is fishing out there fishing with me, he's ripping around the yard on a dirt bike, and I'm all right. It took me a minute to be okay with that because I'm kind of a stickler for my lawn, and he tears it the f up. But
Bro, it's a kid in a dirt bike, bro. Like, yeah, yep.
but I got a pretty decent sized property. We have like 6 acres, so it's
Oh, wow.
most of it's woods, but so dude, he's at the point now where he's getting comfortable kind of bombing in the woods, kind of making his own little track back there, because I kind of made him take it easy only because like last thing I want to do is hitting a friggin' tree at 20-25 miles an hour, like ripping through. But
Now, do you got the gas motor one? Have you guys checked out the electric ones at all, or?
no, so I've seen them. He showed me the one he wanted. He wanted a Kawasaki, 110, like the auto one, so he doesn't have to like pull the clutch and stuff on it. And
What? No.
yeah, I know, but so I do have a little pit bike. I have a little SSR 110 or 125 pit bike that I'm trying to, like, it's not, it's a pit bike, but that one's got a clutch and stuff. So I'm trying to get him to, I've been trying to get him to grasp the concept like this year. He's a 10-year-old kid, dude. We remember when we were 10 years old, like our hand-eye coordination, like it sucked, dude. Like everything's awkward. He just looks awkward doing it. I was like, all right, dude, we'll keep working on it. Like go rip on the Kawasaki. We'll get to this later on, because it's just, it's the last time he did it, dude, it was the immediate, like, let go of the clutch, whiskey throttle, and see you later. So
yeah, dude. No, like, so my son, I have a camping Coleman, so it has no gears. Well, I had it. I gave it to my buddy. We traded. We actually traded for the graphic on the show, which was really cool. He's my buddy. He does my tattoos and stuff, so he's awesome. But my son, he's allowed on that, or he was allowed on that thing. I mean, he's not 10 yet. He's still very much 9. But when we started ripping on that thing, he was like 6 and 7. And I'd always let him, like, he could hold on the handlebars, but I'd be like controlling it. He'd be sitting on my lap. And then eventually I was like, all right, man, you want to control it? I'm going to be on the bike in case, somebody needs to hit the brakes or do something like that. And he whiskey throttled it first out the gate. Both of us ended up right on our butts, dude. Like, wow. And like those, it was my bad for taking the governor off to begin with, because they have a little governor switch on them. Yeah,
I would have done the same exact thing. I actually adjusted, hit the throttle on his Kawasaki the first time before he even got on it the first time. I was like, well, this is fucking stupid,
Yeah, but the only reason I ask is because his mom ended up getting him an electric dirt bike that he can ride around at his papa's house, because her dad has a lot of property.
Yeah,
and so the electric, you can adjust the speed, like the max speed. So no matter how fast it takes off, it only goes X amount miles an hour until they're comfortable riding on it. So he'll do a bunch of laps at one speed, and then they'll ramp it up a little bit more. So same thing. He doesn't hit a tree at 25 miles an hour.
Yeah, that's smart. That's good. Yeah, like, unfortunately, a close friend of mine's son, he was okay. He had a few bumps and bruises, but he basically did that, on his little dirt bike, around the house, hit a tree, and he didn't want to pick it up after that. And I don't blame him. So, my buddy ended up selling the dirt bike and everything. He's like, nope, he's just gonna keep focusing on baseball and stuff. So
yeah. So another thing I'd like to say, like, you're doing it right, because like you were saying, in your childhood, you were kind of pushed. You were pushed for like 5 year skunks to go to this salmon run, right? Whether you liked it or not.
Yep.
And a lot of like professional athletes, like, they don't start out like loving baseball. Like, they're not like, I love baseball from little age. It's their parents are pushing them into it over and over and over again. Half the people who could be like, you hear about it all the time. Like the guy down the street from whoever, he could have been pro, he could have done this, he could have done that, but he threw his life away because he was pushed until he finally, like you were talking about, rebellious, pushed back enough, and they don't want to do it anymore. So it's either you're all in or you're all out at that point. But the way you're doing it, you're just kind of guiding him and letting him run it, dude. And that's like, that is super awesome.
Exactly. It's for anyone out there that kind of has kids, and getting them into fishing, especially this day and age with all the electronics, all the just all that stuff. It's a fine-tuned process. Like you gotta really be strategic about it. And I kind of think I figured it out with him, because I'm like, it's not like, hey, we're going fishing tomorrow. It's like, hey man, I'm going fishing tomorrow if you want to come, and stuff like that. I'm like, hey, like I'm going to be setting up my rods if you want to come in and kind of see what I'm setting up, and what baits I'm putting on and why. Like, I'll kind of explain to you why, and then and I always do in the aspect of like and if you have any, this is the body of water I'm going to, you've been there with me, like what I have this tournament, like what do you think I should throw? You know what I mean? Like you have to allow them to be engaged in it. It can't be just like, hey kid, like get over there, throw this worm and until you catch a fish and don't stop. It's like you have to allow them. That's like mind numbing. Like that's just like that it becomes a chore to them when their parent is telling them like, you have to go do that. They're automatically going to push back on it, because we all did at that age. You have to be if it's something you want them to be involved in, you have to be very strategic about it. And I think I have finally figured it out. Like I said, with his other twin that's just really not into it, I knew when to give up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I knew, not so much give up, but I knew, I don't want to use that, but I knew when, okay, that's not his thing. This is like his focus, kind of, what he's interested in. So let's hit the ground running with that. And and he's kind of stuck with that. So
yeah, dude. Well, that's awesome. Hang on 1 second. We're going to pause for an ad real quick and do this ad so I can get it out of the way, because I really want to get into your life. Like super.
Hell yeah.
Right
Let's
now.
do
So
it.
I'm going to mute us and get it.
Yep.
What up, dudes and dudettes? I'm sure you're tired of hearing my voice by now, but you're going to hear it for a little bit longer, because this is a shout out to the sponsor of this show, Kayak City. Kayak City has been taking care of me ever since I started getting into a boat and paddling around in the water trying to catch some fish. And when I tell you it is Kayak City, it is literally like a city of kayaks. They have Bonafide, Eddyline, Feel Free, Hobie, Jackson, Native, New Canoe, Old Town, Wilderness Systems, and so many used kayaks. I stopped trying to count them a long time ago. If you guys are looking for accessories, they have walls and walls and walls of accessories. They have one wall dedicated specifically to Yak Attack, and it is a massive wall. Kayak City is your #1 Yak Attack dealer here in Northern California. If you want to know where it is, stop by at 7812 Auburn Boulevard, Citrus Heights, CA. Roll through, say what up to James, Troy, Eric, Scott. Tell them Dave says what's up, and tell them I sent you there. Thanks for listening.
All right. Yeah, there. Got that out of the way, dude. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to jump around.
No, because you would have forgotten, and you would have been like, oh, shit.
Yep. Like an hour and a half in, like, oh, by the way, here's an ad.
No, it's all good.
They do me so right over there. I can't.
Oh, yeah.
Like, support. And
sounds like it.
Sure.
Sounds like it.
So anyways, so let's get back into you a little bit, because I really love what you're doing with your son, but I feel like there's a whole storyline in there that we're missing.
Yeah, there is. Yeah, there is. Yeah. So, oh man, so like I said, fishing was just kind of like a small hobby for me. I was still into, growing up as a kid, junior high years and stuff. I was big into like BMX. I sucked at it because I was like afraid of getting hurt. I'll be the first one to admit it. So like everyone's, we had this skate park in my town that someone's dad like put together, because there's so many kids in the area that skateboarded and did the BMX and stuff. I was always afraid. Like I took one good digger one time. Got my leg sliced up real good from those bear trap pedals like back in the day. And oh yeah, you know what I'm talking about. And I was like, dude. But all my friends did it, so I was like, I'll keep doing it. Like I enjoyed the simple jumps. I enjoyed the simple jumps, the simple tricks, and it kept me going, But dude, honestly, as a kid, I was big into sports. I played football. I played track. Let me back up a little bit. So I started grade school here in Massachusetts, and when my stepdad came into the picture, he took a job. He was a plumber, worked for like a franchise plumbing company, and he actually got a job offer down in Florida, kind of like the Tampa area. Oh. Yeah, so I actually moved down there when I was maybe like 7 years old, maybe, 6, 7 years old. So we went and lived down there. We would come up here quite often. We still go do that salmon run. We'd
That's a
kind of
long
like,
way.
yeah, dude. So we always visit, and we kind of like would do that salmon run, the process and stuff like that. But we lived there for like 4 or 5 years, dude, and I fucking hated every minute of it.
Florida.
Yeah, dude, and it's I hated it because like he had a little bit of family down there, but he was like still like the new stepdad at that time. The guy who was kind of hard on me, and I was like I was the quintessential like, you're not my dad, kid.
Yeah.
Which is stupid because I never had a dad. You know what I mean?
Mhm,
So it's
mhm.
like, so then like thinking about it now, I'd be like, oh, that was fucking dumb because I don't even know what having a dad's like. You know what I mean? But
Yeah. But
yeah.
but
So
as a kid, there's this mysterious, this like myth, or this not myth, but like this mysterious person that you assume is like there.
yeah,
That
yeah,
dad.
exactly. And so yeah, we spent some time down there, dude. It was very like it just wasn't. It was very anticlimactic. It was I hated it because I was close to my mom's family because it was the only family I had,
Mhm.
and now they were
Oh, yeah.
gone. Like I was super close to my grandparents. Obviously, my grandfather was the one who started me fishing, stuff like that. Um, so I was just kind of a pissed off kid down there. You know what I mean? Like it was the one time I actually did well in school and stuff because I had nothing else to do. Like I didn't have friends down there. I felt like I never really fit in because I was just like, I was a kid from Massachusetts, from New England with a weird accent. You know what I mean? It was like,
Mhm.
it was that time where like your teeth are starting to come in, and like my teeth were like way too big for my face. So I got, I got like, so I got bullied pretty bad back then. And it just like, dude, it was the old days. You know what I mean? It was like those late 80s, early 90s where like you bullied, but there wasn't all these anti-bullying programs and all that shit. So you just ate it, dude. You
Yeah.
just ate it.
Yeah. Yep.
And
You eat it or you feed it. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So I was just like, and like I was a smaller kid back then. I wasn't like into, back then I wasn't into like fighting or getting physical. I just sat there, dude, quiet on the bus and just fucking ate it. Like, and just absorbed it, dude, and made me a really, really pissed off kid. And my sister was born also. And that was like a lot of times when a sibling, especially the only sibling, has a sister or I'm sorry, if you have a sibling that's born, a lot of times you're pissed because you're the only child, like whatever. But dude, I embraced that shit because I felt like it was like, okay, so I'm no longer alone in the house because, my stepdad, my mom, dude, all they did was work. All we did was work. It was always like someone else I didn't know coming and watching us. And they were all fucking so mean. Dude. It was like all these older women that were just so mean. And, this is the back in the days of houses. You had one TV in the house. That was it. You know what I mean? Where we just wanted to kind of watch our cartoons. And instead, I remember this one lady that would come watch us. She was English. She had I don't remember her name or anything, but I remember her having the English accent. And dude, the whole time she was watching us, she would take the TV with the VCR and just do step aerobics the entire time.
What?
Dude, so like my sister and I are just like, like we just kind of wanted to watch, just give us some Saturday morning cartoons, you know what I mean? Like something. And I don't even remember what age, like 6 or something, and she's like 1. And like
Dude.
so she'd be doing that, and I felt like I was kind of taking care of my sister. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I
While
bet.
she just like kind of did that. She was just an adult in the house. Whereas really I felt like I was the one, watching my sister and looking out for my sister. And
That's heavy, dude, at that age. That's
yeah,
super
dude.
heavy.
So it was weird. It's like you're a 6-year-old kid. You don't know how to like articulate that to your mom or your dad. You know what I mean? Like explain to them, or they're gonna be like, "Oh, you're being," it's. If my daughter now was like telling me that stuff, I mean, I'd like to think that I'd take it serious, but it's a 5-6-year-old coming up to you. You're like, oh, come on. I think you're blowing it out of proportion a little bit.
Yeah.
So I didn't even bother. And again, it was kind of we lived in a neighborhood where it was like, we just rented a house. My parents rented a house, a tiny house, and it was more in like an elderly community. So there's really no kids in the area, anything like that. So I was just a lone wolf, dude. I was like I had a couple friends in school, but like it wasn't to the point where like, you know, we had play dates or like I went over their house at birthday parties, nothing like that. It was like my friends were at school and that's the only time I ever saw them. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
dude.
And then then it was just me, dude, like in the backyard, like playing with the dog or like doing stuff with my sister. And, yeah, dude, it was like thinking back to it now. It's like, man, like
That's
that
rough.
sucked. Yeah.
Yeah,
That sucked,
super
dude.
rough, dude.
Yeah.
Like you're left with your imagination, and that is your buddy, you know, besides
Yep.
your sister who's very
Yep.
young.
Yeah, dude.
Like,
So it's like I think back to, and then you know, right before we decided to move back to Massachusetts, my second sister was born. So then it was like three of us, and now we had our little like cult gang, you know what I mean? Like, but it was just us. Like we were the kid, like we had each other, and that was it. You know what I mean?
so
Because
if
again, like
somebody's house was getting teepeed, they knew whose door they were gonna knock on.
yeah, yeah,
right?
dude. Except we were like we would ride our bikes around the neighborhood. Like me and my one sister, the other one was too young, but yeah, and that was it, dude. It was just like kind of me, like the kid that just hangs out with his younger sister all the time. You know what I mean? And like, yeah, it was like you think back to it now. Like, dude, did my life down there suck? No, because my parents always put food on the table. There was always a shelter, you know, a roof over my head. But the unfortunate part was like I see the kids in school that always had shit that I never had. You know,
Yeah.
you don't realize how much your parents are struggling when you're that age until you look back on it, and
Yep.
you're like, whoa, like we were in rough shape back then, like financially.
Mhm.
And you know, you just don't get it. You don't get it at that age, and nor should you. Nor should
No,
you.
no, I was gonna say
Um,
that's not something that really kids that should
no.
have to comprehend. Like
Yep.
they say, the hindsight's 2020, so we can
Yep.
always look back and go, "Oh, I can see that clearly." But as a child,
Right.
like, dude, the concept of like money value or like
Yeah.
entertainment time, none of that actually
Nope.
registers, you know. So where, like you said, good life, food on the table, lights always came on, roof was
Yep.
always over our head, you know, or whatever, you know. Somebody
Yep.
told me they love me every day, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, or they didn't, whatever. Point being
Yeah.
is, uh, you know, that's what you and myself would consider a good life. My son would consider an iPad and like all these video game systems and all that kind of stuff is like a good life, but he doesn't
Right.
know idea about like financial gain or financial loss, anything
Yeah.
like along those lines.
Yeah.
And he shouldn't, because he's, you know, 9.
Right.
But as kids, like similar situation, I didn't understand what we were going through. Never
Yeah.
did. It was never a
Nope.
concept. I just
Nope.
didn't know. I knew I felt a lot of certain ways that now that I'm older, I totally understand. But at the time, dude, same way. You're just
Yeah.
angry. You're like
Yep.
grumpy all the time.
Yeah, it's nuts, but I do look back to, you know, I look back at it now and like, especially when I lived in Florida where I was kind of still bullied and you know, I was just like either angry or just sad all the time. I felt, you know what I mean? And you know, and I look forward to coming home, hanging out with my baby. You know, I was a 6-7 year old kid who looked forward to coming home and playing with his baby sister. Like that was my dude, you know what I mean? And yeah, so finally, so my mom actually ended up getting skin cancer when we lived in Florida. Yeah, she went through a couple operations. It went into her jaw, I remember. And I'm kind of like I'm trying to remember it the best I could because dude, I was so young, like and like I only knew like what they told me later on in life.
Yeah.
And that kind of like, you know, and the doctor's like, hey, you gotta stay out of the sun. Like the sun's, you know, we came from Massachusetts. We're Irish and German, dude. We have the fairest skin on the planet.
I was gonna say, you guys are redder than your background, you know?
Yeah, exactly. So finally, you know, in the way I understood it when they kind of explained it to me later is my dad kind of with that same franchise he was with plumbing, he went back to Massachusetts. He's like, hey, like the lead guy reached out to the place in Worcester, Massachusetts. He's like, yeah, man, we'll take him. And dude, it was like one day we just packed all of our shit up in our old Dodge Ram pickup with dude. So this kind of a funny story, and this will kind of give you an idea of like how like we just didn't have the money. Is we had a single cab Dodge Ram, like 1989, 87 Dodge Ram pickup.
Oh yeah.
But it was single cab, dude. It was my parents and 3 siblings. So my dad had found a old seat from a minivan and actually welded it inside the bed of the truck and put a cap on, put seatbelts in it and everything. And that was our back seat, dude. He like faced it towards the front. Like that was our back seat.
Dude.
Yeah. Yeah. Dude, I mean, that would not fly today.
No.
That would not fly today. Like the seatbelts were like Jimmy rigged in there type deal.
Tied it a knot at the bottom.
Oh yeah, dude. And so yeah, dude, we packed everything we had into the back of that truck with a little U-Haul trailer, and we fucking moved back to Massachusetts. And you know, they didn't have a place to live. Like we ended up staying with my uncle in his little apartment, you know, for months until my parents found like an apartment. And but dude, as soon as I came back, I felt like I was back in my environment. But the thing that fucked me, dude, is, and I hate to say it, like I did well in school in Florida. Because so the thing is like the education, we're going to talk about the education system. I came from Massachusetts education system, went down to a Florida education, Southern education system. Dude, I was like a genius in school down there. You know what I mean? So,
skipping grades and
yeah, dude. So dude. I come back to Massachusetts and I fucking struggled. I struggled with school, and the most important, like the thing that got to me, dude, was like the homework. Like I never did my homework, and you know how it is. That shit'll screw you, and you'll get like terrible grades if you don't. Because I was back around my family, around my cousins, around my grandparents, so that's all I cared about. So like I just like I was like, no, I'm not going home doing homework. I'm going and hanging out with my family that I haven't been around the last 5 or 6 years. Yeah. And you know, because I had my one cousin Richard, who was we were only like 9 months apart, you know, and so that was my boy, and we would him and I would go fishing. We'd grab the rods, and there'd be like small ponds and stuff. We find like native brook trout, and you know, like we'd go down to those like fishing game clubs and fish for little bass, and that was like our deal, dude. And but I started like when I came back in like 5th grade, and I just struggled right off the rip, dude. And it was a struggle right up until I graduated. And it's not, it was just like obviously not a lack of trying. I just didn't fucking care.
Yeah, I was gonna say, was it a care at that point? Like, did you fight that whole way through to get those grades, or were you just kind of like, you know, F it? And
that's exactly what it was. Everything else was more important.
Yeah,
everything else was more important than school. And I'd like to say like I wish I had done it differently, but you know, we'll talk about it later. But I don't. You know, like, yeah, cool. I wish I'd done my fucking homework. You know what I mean? But I did all right in life, and So. Yeah. But yeah, dude. So I junior high years, man, it was kind of like, you know, nothing really going on. It's kind of normal, like, you know, friggin' dabbling with skateboarding, BMX. I started to play football. I was pretty decent at it, but I wasn't like a big kid. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I was a pretty like scrawny kid, and but I had a blast. 100%. Yeah, but I had a blast, and I was fast, dude. I don't know why. I got like short little legs. I'm only like 5'10", but I was fast as fuck, boy. Like I don't even know how. I don't know why. It still like scientifically makes no sense. But yeah, I got into high school, dude, and honestly, the only thing that probably got me passing grades was because I was a decent athlete. Like I did decent at football, but the one that I really excelled at, dude, was track. I was a sprinter.
And
yeah, dude. So I was a sprinter in track. Like I actually ran on ESPN and stuff for the New England regional, the New Englands, and like to make like the national championship for high school. I lost. I got, so the top 5 made it, and I got 6th place. But right there on ESPN, got my butt whooped. But
bro, okay, I'm gonna tell you right now. I think there's maybe 10% of the entire nation they could say they got on ESPN at one point or another.
Yeah,
and
dude.
Most of them are professional athletes now. So
yeah, it was wild, dude. It was cool. Like that was something like, because I knew I sucked at school, and I was like, it's not even that I sucked at school. I sucked at trying at school. Mm-hmm. because it's wild now. Like, I'm a huge history buff now. Like, history was always something that interests me, and it did back then. But it's like, I just didn't want to do homework, dude. I didn't want to do projects. I was too busy fucking around with my friends all the time.
Yeah.
And,
Like when you got me for this 8 hours, tell me all these cool stories, but
Yeah.
don't expect me to do anything
Yep.
after these 8 hours.
Yep.
It's, yeah.
Yeah, it was fun because so my best friend Mike, and he'll come into the story a couple times. So he was the one when I came back from Florida. It was kind of like I just kind of showed up at the school. I don't even think my parents were like, hey, you know, I'm sending my child to your school now. What do I have to do? It was just like, all right, go up to that. Like, that's a school right there. Cause I was within walking distance and like, go to school. I was like, okay. You know what I mean?
Well, you know, you're not responsible for him.
Yeah, dude. I just kind of showed up one day, and I remember the principal, Mr. Beardsley. He literally just grabbed this kid. He's like, okay. He's like, I'll have him show you around. He's like, Mike, get over here and show this like kid around. And that dude's like, since then, dude, that kid's been my best friend on the planet. That kid he's the one I joined the military with, and I'm still in with like today. Like, he's still my dude like today.
That's so dope, dude.
Yeah, but yeah, so he got into high school doing the sports thing, and then senior year I started to realize, like, fuck, dude, what am I gonna do with my life? I didn't know. And these are also like the junior high school years were real tough at home with like my stepdad, because he was real tough. He's still I love him to death. Like, he is a great grandfather to my children, but dude, he is the grumpiest, most fucking abrasive guy on the planet still to this day, dude. But when he loves you, he loves the hell out of you. But so like, all he wanted for me, dude, is just to succeed and do something with myself. Because again, in the neighborhood that we lived, it was a super like high drug, like it was a Caucasian white neighborhood. We're a small like farming town, dude. You know what I mean? Low income, and like just I had my one cousin Richard, who we'll talk about later, but who was awesome. That I was always up his house, but I had so many other cousins, dude, that just went down bad roads. You know what I mean? Like dropping out of school, like just doing drugs and shit. And my dad just didn't want that, because I would always go hang out with them because that was my family. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And like, he was so fucking tough on me because he just didn't want me to go down that road. And like, dude, I despised him for it. I despised him for wanting me to succeed. But I didn't know it then. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I did.
yeah.
I just thought, like, back then, I'm like, this dude's just an asshole. And that's really because, you know, he did a stint in the military, but he obviously struggled with, you know, financially, like, because we struggled financially my entire fucking life. So he didn't want that for me.
Yeah.
And, you know, I look back at it now, dude, and I'm just like, fuck, like, it's so heavy. Like, it's just such a heavy thing to think about. And, but dude,
that's the weight of the world on your shoulders when you're a teenager, dude, because you're just getting pushed in one direction so hard, and all you want to do is be like, fuck you, and like walk the other way. The moment you do, it's like you almost feel like this absence of love. You're like,
it was like because he wanted me to do something, just being like an asshole teenager, I was automatically going to do the opposite.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so dude, him and I struggled my entire like high school career. And then like, he didn't go to college or anything like that. He was a blue collar worker. You know, he did a little stint in the National Guard, and then like he left it like after his like 6 years or whatever. And like, dude, he just struggled with life the entire time. He struggled with substance abuse that I didn't find out until I was fucking in my 30s, dude. You know, that I didn't know he struggled with substances my entire childhood, and I didn't even know it. He came to me probably 5 or 6 years ago, like in tears. Like, it was drugs, dude. It was fucking cocaine. And my entire life, I didn't know it. Had no clue.
Wow, dude. Whoa, dude.
Yeah.
That's heavy. Like, you lived with this man, never a clue.
And
No
dude,
wonder he's such an. Just kidding.
yeah, exactly.
But
But
down like
dude, my entire life, like all my parents did what they fought constantly, dude, like constantly. And like, you know, later on in life, I kind of figured out why, you know what I mean? And it was like kind of that shit. But anyway, so like, and we'll talk about that. But so senior year of high school, dude, I had no idea what I was doing myself. My grades sucked. I had opportunities for scholarships for running. And then they told me to get fucked because of my grades.
no.
So, yep. And I was like, that was the first time where I was like, oh man, I fucked up. Like I fucked up.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, I guess I'm joining the military. Like that's kind of all I got. And so dude, I went in and I didn't even tell my mom and dad. I went in and talked to the Marine recruiter. Dude, took the ASVAB, started doing all my all the testing and stuff to the point where I was just about to sign the papers, and I go and tell my parents, and he's like, I tell my dad and my stepdad and my mom, I go, hey, I'm joining the Marines. And my dad was a Air Force vet. He was in the Air Force.
Yeah.
And he's like hell you are. Dude, think about it. This is 03. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Afghanistan was like pretty gnarly.
Mhm.
He's like, no. He's like, dude, I was in the Air Force. He's like, let's go talk to. He didn't bring me because he was probably fucking, you know, blowing lines or fucking working or whatever. But
Work.
no,
Yeah.
yeah. So I was like, I just did a little bit of research. And I found the Air National Guard, where it was like, you know, it's like the Army National Guard, but the Air Force. And I grabbed my buddy Mike, who he kind of the same way with me. Did real shitty in school. He was my best boy. Like, and I go, but he had no plan to join the military. I go, hey man, you want to take a ride with me? Like, we hopped in my old shitty 1985 Thunderbird, driving down the Mass Pike, rattling the whole way because I never brought that bitch on the highway before. And we go to the base out in Westfield, Mass, and we just literally just pulled up to the gate, up to the gate of the Air Force Base. And I go, yeah, we want to talk to a recruiter. He's like, I remember. So the dude who was at the gate ended up becoming one of my close friends. He goes, yeah, you got to make a fucking appointment, you idiot. You just can't come on base like that. I'm like, okay. I was like, do you have like a phone number? He's like, I don't know, dude. He's like, I might have a card in here or something. So he hands me like this fucking wrinkled up business card with a phone number on it. Dude, this is like before we didn't have cell phone. You know, we're too poor to have him, Mike and I both were like, our family's too poor for us to have the fucking Nokias where you play Snake and shit, like the phones that just came out.
Yes, the brick phone.
Yeah,
Yes,
dude. And so we drive away. We find a fucking payphone. We call the number on a payphone. We go, hey, like, we're looking to make an appointment. She's like, I remember it was a woman. She's like, well, when do you want to come? I was like, well, we just drove an hour and we're actually like at the gas station up the street. Can we come now? She's like, yeah. Just give me 10 minutes to tell the gate and like whatever. So we pull up to the gate and it's the same kid. He's like,
you again.
Yeah, he's like, you again. Casey Walsh ended up becoming a close friend of mine. He's like, are you Joe Brown and Mike Gardner? We're like, yeah. He's like, yeah, it's down there to the left. He's like, go. And
could have done that from the get-go, but
yeah. So dude, we go and we fucking did all the paperwork. It was funny. We took the ASVABs and like, again, like, him and I both are like super smart people. We just sucked at like school and doing our work. We both picked, you know, we could have picked any job we wanted. Like we did the ASVAB. They're like, hey, here are your job choices. Cause with the Air National Guard, basically you can pick any job you want, like whatever job you qualify for. It's not like the active duty where they're like, we're just going to put you wherever we need you type deal.
Oh, wow.
And
Cool.
so we had all these cool jobs too. It was like aircraft mechanic, aircraft avionics, because it was at the time they had the A-10 Warthogs. It was like, you know, munitions specialist, weapons specialist for the aircraft. And then they're like military police and air-based ground defense. She's like, you don't really want it. I was like, no, that's what we want. Like just because a picture showed like it was like, because it's kind of like the infantry of the Air Force. So like, they were like out there with like Claymore mines and stuff. Like, that's exactly what we want. She's like, you guys score, like, they require like the lowest ASVAB score, and you guys score. We're like, yeah, we don't care. We're like, yeah, we don't care. We're just gonna do that. And she was just like, you know what I mean? And dude, we went and asked our parents, and about 3 weeks later, we fucking signed the paper with our hands up and joined the Air Force, man. And
Dude, so you were MP then, or you
so
were?
yeah, so the way our job is broken down is, at least back then, it was called security forces. It was like, the way the Air Force did it was like it was the security forces or the military police, and then it was also like air base ground defense, which is like the infantry. So we had to go and learn both. So we learned like the law enforcement aspect as well as like the ground combat aspect.
Dude, that's gnarly.
Yeah,
So
dude. So later on, like,
you're double duty then. The whole time.
Exactly.
Oh,
So
gosh.
it was crazy. Like, so I join, we go inside. We were still in high school when we joined. But Mike was only 17. He's like 7 months younger than me. He was only like 17. His parents had to like sign for him. Whereas like, I was just like, yeah, fucking show me where to sign, man.
Can
but,
you imagine
yeah,
letting your teenager go like that, dude?
Oh, dude, it was wild. So this is 2003.
Oh,
Or
yeah.
I'm sorry, 2002 that we joined, but we were graduating in May of 2003. So we couldn't even leave for basic. So we fucking, go forward, we graduate high school. Mike and I were like, man, we dodged a bullet 'cause we were about to be homeless, like living off the streets, fucking panhandling. Like, thank God we did this. Like, we both played football together and stuff. We're like, so we were athletic. Like, we didn't have it. We had no worries about that. And we're like, yeah, dude, we're fucking going to Texas. We, like, fucking high five. Like, this is going to be awesome. We both get out. So, and we did it like the buddy system. Where we're like, yeah, you guys will be together the whole time. Dude,
yeah.
They go, we get down there, Texas. Dude, it was like that. You're in the airport, and granted, this is like, Afghanistan's still pretty hot. Iraq hadn't happened yet. So we get to the depot, and me and Mike and I, stupid 18-year-old kids, they're like, all right, you over there. Like, we're like, oh, we're in the buddy system. He's like, and the guy's just like, I don't give a fuck what you think you are. You're like, you know what? He sends my buddy like way down over there. He ended up being in a totally different like base boot camp flight. Like that motherfucker purposely separated us. And like,
oh hell yeah,
dude, it was like that slow motion, like your friends, like you feel like you're losing your friend forever type deal.
The old Instagram filter with the leaves falling.
Oh my god, dude! It was like, luckily we were still like in the same big building, so we saw each other once in a while. But yeah, dude, they literally fucking purposely separated us.
Oh.
Like when we got there on the buddy system.
I love
Yeah.
it. Hey, I got a question for you there real quick, because we were talking about you being pushed and like all this kind of stuff,
Yep.
and you're rebellious. Because
Yep.
I'm not going to say that's strictly just for you or for me. I think every teenage boy is
Oh,
going to be
100%.
pushing the male figure no matter
Yep.
what it is. Just like
Yep.
every teenage girl is going to be pushing everyone on the planet. But point
Yep.
being is, how was that mentality going into the military? Like, from what I understand, the military, their job is to take people who say fuck you and break them. So
Oh,
how
they
does that
did.
work?
They did.
Oh, okay.
So like it's so funny. It's like, because like Mike and I, like, I will say going down there was a lot easier because I had my dude with me. I had my boy. You know what I mean? So we're like,
Yeah.
so together we're like, if they get in my face and yell at me, I'm gonna fucking throat punch him. Like I'll show them what's up. And then he walks away, and like you're actually like terrified because you get to the depot, dude, and you end up showing up at like 11:30 at night. And you've never seen like a drill instructor before in your life, unless it was like on TV, like Full
Forrest
Metal
Gump.
Jacket or something.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
Forrest Gump, Full Metal Jacket,
And-
which is a dope movie, by the way. I
Yep.
want to watch it with my kid, but it's too much.
Oh,
Still
yeah.
too young, but continue.
So they fucking, back in the day, I don't know if they still do it, but the drill instructors put pieces of metal on their heels. So you fucking hear them coming. And it's like this like the clink, 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 clink. And it's a noise that's still like like in my like brings me if I ever hear it because for some reason like some honor guards still use it and stuff. So even now when like anyone hears it, dude, it like brings you right back to that first night. And so they
That's
brought the
psychological warfare right there.
yeah,
That's
dude. So and
awesome.
you're coming off the bus, dude, and they had the security forces, which was the job I was coming into, but they had canine units as well. So, dude, they're out there with the canines, fucking barking. The canines are barking like at you, and like it's just I don't like people give a lot of shit to the Air Force. I'll tell you, I was just a little smarter. My dad didn't let me join the Marines. I just scored pretty high in the ASVAB. So I got lucky going the Air Force. But dude, it was fucked up. It was like because no matter what, we were still in a war. We're still in the war. We're in the height of Afghanistan, and
Yeah, it's full run right then.
yeah, dude, we start basic training. And 2 weeks into basic training, our drill instructor, who's I'll never forget him, Tech Sergeant Rodriguez, comes in. He was the biggest fucking asshole because that was his job, was to be an asshole. And dude, he comes in. He's just like different. He was just different. He's like, instead of screaming at us and spitting in our face or whatever, he goes, "Hey, I need you guys all go in the day room." So like, this is weird. I'm like, okay.
Ooh.
He turns on there was a TV with cable in the day room. And he started naming off certain jobs that us were going to. He's like, "Hey, is there anyone here? If you're going like EOD, security forces, pararescue, whatever, like all the few ground combat jobs in the Air Force," he goes, "Raise your hand." We're like, so raise your hand. He turns on the TV, and it was I'll never forget, it was CNN, and we were invading Iraq. And he goes, "You guys are going to war." And I was just like, you know what I mean? So I was in basic training when Bush decided to invade Iraq, like that second time in 2003.
Oh my God. Did your stomach just like bottom out? Did you just like,
it was
Did you
initially,
Okay.
and I was like, cause like at first I was like, I joined the National Guard. So I'm just going to I'm going to go do this and I'm going to go home and like do my 1 week in a month, 2 weeks a year. You know what I mean? And go fucking work somewhere.
Yep. 40-20. Let's do it.
Yeah. And it was like, I was like, at first I was like, oh fuck. And then I was like, and then being that young rebellious like kid, I was like, oh yeah, fucking let's do this. You know what I mean? And so I finished basic, I finished tech school, which is the security forces school. I go home. I did my so they call OJT, on the job training, where I had to like learn my career field at my home station. When I got back, dude, the whole unit was deployed. Like, so we had, like I said, we had the A-10 Warthogs, and they were some of the first planes to go in and start bombing in Iraq. So they took the whole wing, dude. It was a skeleton crew. They were already gone. Like I missed the ship. You know what I mean?
Oh,
And so Mike and I both. So it was just like we'd go to like our OJT or our training and stuff. It was just a ghost town, dude. They were already over in fucking all these places I still can't freaking talk about, having the planes in these small ass countries and shit. And they were
without
just
talking about it, were you in communication with them, or
no, dudes, because I was so new. I didn't have I hadn't gained any relationships or anything with anybody. I was just like the new boot, Mike and I were the new boots, you know what I mean? The old crusty guys would give us a little bit of information. They're like, yeah, we have guys here, here, and here. It was like at the time it was one of them I still can't say, but it was they're like Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, and then there was this other one that was a little bit closer. But yeah, dude. So they were there, and like we were pissed. We're like, oh, we fucking missed it, dude. We were that late, and so yeah, so we kind of just we were doing the on the job training stuff. We did that for like 2 months, where we just had to go there every day and learn it. And then I kind of fell into that the 1 week in a month, 2 week a year thing, and I was like, okay. I was like, well, fuck. I was like, fuck. What do I do on the? I kind of fucked myself because I didn't go active duty. So now I still don't have a job unless it's 1 week in a month. I was like, okay, all right, I might have fucked up a little bit. I might have messed up a little just because I wanted to like stick around home with my boys and stuff, and or with Mike. And so I end up getting a job I did a couple jobs. I worked loss prevention at Sears, like grabbing people that were like stealing goods and shit, and just like stupid job. I worked for my dad had ended up, so that plumbing company that he worked for, he actually ended up like becoming like the highest guy of it, and so I worked for him for a long time, like learned plumbing and stuff. I did that for a while, and
It's a dirty
and then
job, dude. It's a
oh,
dirty
it is. But dude, like that was probably the most money I made as a young kid. Like, cause I just
Really?
grinded, you know. Yeah, oh, yeah. So I cleaned drains, dude. I cleaned, yeah, I cleaned clogged drains. It was awful, but dude, I made, cause I would just grind. Like, that's an old man's like an older guy's profession at that time, at least. You know what I mean? So like they were kind of slow, and like, dude, I was like, give me that fucking 300-pound machine, throw it in the van. I'd rip around Massachusetts, dude. Just hurry up and clean it, and I would just grind. And I was making pretty good money for that time.
Oh yeah,
And
because you can hit a bunch of houses a day, just ticket,
Yep.
ticket, done. You
Yeah.
know? That's
Yep.
cool.
So yeah, so I end up so the unit called me and they say, hey, we need some manning to secure the base. Would you want to come out on orders? I was like, yeah, like I'll go serve, like whatever.
Mhm.
And so it's basically, it was AGR, temp AGR, which is active guard reserve. So basically you become active duty at a National Guard unit, but I had just like a temporary slot doing that. So I go out and do that for a while, and this was probably in late 2005. They say, hey, they brought a few of us in, or they brought 13 of us in handpicked, and they go, to include me and my boy Mike, and they go, hey, we're doing something that this unit has never done before. And we're like, okay. They're like, we're sending you guys to Iraq, because before the unit just went in and around with the
Yeah.
planes, you know, because
Yeah,
the planes never like go in, like they're not like parked in fucking Baghdad, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
They go, we need you guys to go to Camp Sather, Baghdad International Airport. You guys are gonna go secure the airport. So that's when I was like, they're like, this squadron has never done that before. And you guys are going to be the first ones that do it. And we were all kids, dude. We had like one dude that was kind of older, but we were just 13 kids, dude, going into this. I was 20 years old at the time. And,
so you're like 19, 20 right then.
Yeah. I was just about to turn 20, or I just turned 21. And dude, next thing I know, I'm down in Nevada, dude. So we were the National Guard, so we didn't have shit for money at that time. Like active duty is the one who got all the money and shit. And we didn't get shit for money, man. And so like we went in all the shitty, like some shittiest gear. Like we show up, we look like fucking degenerates when we show up in we had to go to pre-deployment training, and we did that in Nevada, Creech Air Force Base, right outside of Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
And we're there for like a month, dude, just getting our asses kicked, like learning like desert warfare, basically. It was nothing we'd ever really done. You know, we'd done it a little bit, but we were kind of in that realm of like, they're really harping on the law enforcement stuff, and then threw us into like the ground combat shit. So it's like, okay, well, I kind of just been wasting the last 2 years. So like, so it was like, dude, it was like drinking from a fire hose down there, man, just trying to learn everything. And
I bet.
Yep. So we did that for about a month. And originally they said, yep, you guys are going to do this training. You're going to go home for 2 weeks, and then we'll take a rotator from Baltimore out. So we're in like the last week of our training, and they say, hey, change of plans. You guys aren't going home first. We're flying you right out of here.
Oh no, dude.
Yeah. So we ended up going to Nellis, moving from Creech to Nellis Air Force Base, which is like right in Vegas. Which the nice part about it is we got 2 days in Vegas, which was pretty cool as just turning 21. You know what I mean?
Bro, yeah. And you're getting ready to get shipped out. Like this could be like your last bang. Like, where are you at with this? Are you like, okay, sure, whatever you say? Or are you like, dude,
I'm pumped.
This is not what I signed up for.
No, dude, I was pumped. I was ready to go, dude.
Oh,
I was ready to go. I was stupid though, because I flew down instead of going and like having a good time as a 21-year-old. Me and Mike flew down. Of course, because we're best friends. We are also dating best friends.
Oh yeah, yep.
who are both only 20. So we spent like every dime we made like in the last like month and fucking flew them both down to Vegas and they couldn't drink. So I was like, well, this sucks. You know what I mean?
Let's all hang out in the hotel
yeah.
pool and
Yeah.
drink, Shirley Temples.
Yeah, dude, exactly. And like, you know, and we were playing the like, oh, we don't know if we're ever coming back card and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And yeah. But
we get it out.
Yep. But dude, so we end up taking the rotator, dude, and if you don't know, I'm not sure how you are in the history of that of like that war, but the summer of 2006 is still called the Bloody Summer. We got there, dude. We were only like, our job was basically, we weren't going outside the wire or anything. We were securing Baghdad International Airport, which was a huge base. It was Camp Victory. Like we were doing like perimeter patrol, stuff like that. And dude, we landed, I'll never forget landing in Iraq and them opening the back of that and just like that moment, my life changed forever. Like my life was just from the moment that door opened, the back of that C-130, dude, I life changed immediately and I knew it. Bro. Just from the sights of that tarmac and just the smells. And I knew I was at least at minimum, I was going to grow up real fucking quick on this 6, 7, 8 month tour.
Yeah, dude. Like, so can you even describe that scene now? Or, I mean, I know it's
dude,
like, traumatic
I'll
memory.
never...
Not saying negative trauma.
No,
like,
no.
But that's a traumatic memory. It's
yeah.
Like a memory. Yeah.
Hell yeah. So, dude, because it was like, the one thing being in the Air Force is we learned like in my job, you learn how to do things the Air Force way. But when you get on the ground, we didn't have experience with other services like the Marines and the Army. And we get off, dude, that's just all there is. There's like a few of us Air Force cats that are just securing that perimeter in that small area and obviously the jets. But, dude, all we see is mechanized units. We see, you know, I'll never forget. I remember I had sunglasses on when I stepped out and I felt like I needed another pair of sunglasses. It was so fucking bright, dude. It was so bright. I'll never forget that. And just the smell of it. It always smells like something's burning, no matter what.
Yep.
Something's always burning. And like, even just talking about it, I can smell it again. And, it's crazy. And, we get in, we kind of learn like, hey, this is going to be your mission. You guys aren't going outside the wire, but hey, listen, we've been taking a lot of mortar rocket fire. So here's kind of how we handle that, blah, blah, blah. There's a lot of like, so we did a lot of like search pit. So we manned the search pit. And what I mean by that, it was, people coming on base from outside and stuff would come through us. And, so we'd search their vehicles or persons. I mean, we're TCNs, which are third country nationals, the guys that basically their fucking life sucks so bad in India and Indonesia and stuff that they come take jobs in Iraq. You know what I mean? Just to like, you know, whether they just like pumping porta shitters, cleaning bathrooms, or working the dining facility. And then we had the LNs, which is the local nationals, which are like legit Iraqis that have been vetted, or so they say, to come on base and work. Because you always want to, you know, it's always obviously cheaper to get
local hire.
Yeah, exactly. So dude, so I'll 2 weeks in, right off the bat, dude, we start taking like mortar fire and stuff. And that's where I was like, holy fuck, dude. Like, I'm a 21-year-old kid. Like, I'll never forget the sound of that first like mortar that comes in. It's like, it's so like, when you see that first, like that enemy mortar come in, it's so underwhelming, dude. Cause you're expecting this huge flame and everything. And it's not like that, dude. It's just like a cloud of dust and like, but it's loud and like, and there's like a concussion and everything. But, I remember I was on a patrol. It was like, this was like a month in, dude. I was on a perimeter patrol. I was the grenadier, so I had the 203. We were in a gun truck, so it was your driver, truck commander. We had a gunner up on the 240, or I think we had a 50 cal, and then me on the grenade launcher. I was just a rifleman with a grenade launcher. And we're driving in a Humvee, up armored Humvee, dude, and they are loud as fuck. Like you can't talk while you're driving and shit. They're so loud. And we're on the perimeter of Route Irish, which is like one of the most like prolific like dangerous highways in Iraq. But we're on the other side of it, and we're driving probably 50 miles an hour, and we hear. It was a one time we could actually like hear something outside this Humvee. And like we actually felt like a concussion, and like we stopped and we're like, what the fuck was that? And then all of a sudden the radio just went ballistic. The comms just went ballistic, and it turns out we were pretty close to where it happened, but a VBED, a vehicle borne IED, it was a dump truck, had gone up to the ECP of the airport and detonated. Yeah, so and we were our call sign was Romeo 1. We were they made us the QRF, the quick response force. So like, hey, Romeo 1, we need you need to get to the airport ECP immediately. We need to start escorting Iraqi ambulance. It was so bad, dude, that they were allowing the Iraqi ambulances to come to our EMEDs, what we called it, basically our medical facility with casualties. And I remember pulling up, dude, and getting out, and just the biggest thing, it was like all of a sudden when I got out and I looked, dude, it was like there's no sound. The best thing I can compare it to is that scene from Saving Private Ryan where there's just no noise, and it's just like chaos in front of them. That's the best thing I can compare it to, just because you can't prepare yourself either physically, emotionally, or mentally for something like that as a young kid if you've never endured. If you like, obviously first responders and stuff kind of go trial by fire with that stuff as well, but I changed as a person that day. And I don't know if you want me to get into like the actual like details of what I saw, and like it could be a little graphic, but
yeah, dude, as deep as you want to go, dude. Like, I'm here for it, because
yeah,
like,
so
this is something that people don't understand what's going on. Like, when you're just side note, you can hang out with veterans all day, and they're veterans, you know, they've been through a lot of stuff, but they're not here to describe that. They don't really like to describe that stuff. So if you're willing to go into that, dude, like, I'm totally willing to listen to that.
Like like you and I kind of talked like weeks ago, and I was like, you know, because there's very few people I've kind of like really, and we'll kind of get into it after that. Yeah, we'll get into it after, but like I told you before, there's very few people I've actually told this stuff to, but I've learned through therapy and stuff, it's better to talk about it than to hold it in. And that's why, like, when I told you, I was like, dude, I'm gonna let it all rip. Hell yeah. And so anyway, I get out of that Humvee, dude, and so have you ever heard of C-wire, Concertina wire? It's basically barbed wire, and they have like strands of it just rolled. Think of like
it's the razors. It's the razors, not the pokies.
Yep. So think of that on the top of the fences at like prisons. Like the way we had it, it was just like across, like just on the ground, like spread out. Because it's effective, dude. Like people aren't going to try to jump it, and it gets, if a vehicle tries to go through it, it gets all hung up inside the drive shaft or whatever.
Yep.
So I get out of the Humvee, and the best way I can compare it is obviously there's smoke, there's fire, there's screaming, whatever. There's I look over at the C-wire. The best thing I can compare it to is it looked like someone took pounds and pounds of raw hamburg and just threw it into the C-wire. That's the best thing I can compare it to. And that was just, at the time, you're like, I kind of froze. I'll be 100% honest. I kind of froze because it was such a shock to the system that I didn't know how to react at first. And then that switch flips to where you're just like, I need to act. And so basically what we do is we kind of just, when that and granted there's bodies everywhere, and not luckily, I don't want to say this because, but I kind of have to. This checkpoint that they hit was manned by, remember that company Blackwater? They hearing about? So these were Blackwater employees, but they were Iraqi. They were vetted through. So it was kind of, you had like tiered system. There's several checkpoints, and like this one so happened to be Iraqi manned. So these were all Iraqis, local Iraqis that do. And you think about it now, it's like, you know, when I'm there, I like hate them all, but you're like, dude, they're just fighting for their country and like trying to make money just like we are. But anyway, so we're trying, they're getting all these guys on litters and everything into, like, we're just throwing them into whatever vehicles we can, like to get people out of there and like to get, you know, triaged and whatnot. And we had to make a 360 perimeter to make sure that there's no, because a lot of times they'll have another vehicle come. So we turned our 50 cal around, so our 50 gunners just watching that approach and just ready to light up any car that, you know, doesn't stop and tries to come back up in case there's a secondary, because now we're all friggin' all spread out trying to help these people. It's a perfect timing to try to come get us again. And so we did that, dude, and we ended up escorting those Iraqi ambulances to our EMEDs. And once we get there, we get out to help them. And something that has stuck with me forever was a dude that survived, just kind of banged up a little bit, but he gets out of the passenger seat of the Iraqi guy, but he's in his kit, his Blackwater kit and everything. It just, him and I like kind of made eye contact, and I'll never, that look that he had was just something I will never ever forget in my life. It was just, there was just so much like pain and like turmoil in this dude's eyes, and it has stuck with me. I think about it constantly. He was covered in blood, but all of it was just, those are his dudes, you know, those are his boys that are now just in pieces and piles and slop everywhere. And that was like, that incident was like my first like realization of like, okay, I'm here. Like this is real. Cause like when the mortars and stuff were coming in, they're coming in like one at a time. They're far away, so it was like funny. It was like a puff plume and like a little bit of concussion. That was it. You know what I mean? But this one was like, I went back to my tent that evening after like we were done, and I remember they had the chaplains reach out. They had the chaplain, they kind of put us all together and had the chaplains kind of come up to us and like, hey, does anyone need to talk or whatever? And I was too fucking cool for that back then. You know what I mean? I was too cool to talk. I was too cool to talk about it. And like now I wish I had fucking talked about it, you know? And I remember going back to our hooch, our tent, and just thinking like, fuck, dude, like I joined the Air Force. Like this shit isn't supposed to happen in the Air Force. You know what I mean? Like I joke, like, you know, you joke and kid, even like joining the Air Force, you joke and kid, you're like, oh, I'll drop bodies. I'll pile up bodies. I'll like drop warheads on foreheads. And like everyone's, you know, dude, everyone thinks they're gangster until, you know, get the gangster shit fucking happens. You know what I mean? Yeah. I sat there and I was just like, fuck, dude, I'm like a 21-year-old kid, and I went from a 21-year-old kid to a 21-year-old man that day. 100%. Like absolutely. Without a doubt. But unfortunately, I think kind of the way my brain and my mind, not unfortunately, but after that day, I became wired a little differently, if that makes sense. Like just kind of the way I look at everything kind of changed that day. And I kind of feel like it's so like cliche and stupid it sounds so like cliche and or to say it, but it was like the person that went there stayed there, and it was like a new person that came home. And so I did that. So we had some other shit that happened. I did a stint, like a month and a half, 2 month stint in the search pit while I was there. Like I said, it was like the bloody summer, dude. So like you'd have special forces guys coming in their fucking ding dong cars, like cars that they like stole like out in the town, dude, with like some high value target that they shot, but they need to try, they're trying to keep them alive. So they're like dude, like, so they come up to the search pit and they're like, hey man, we just need to get this dude to EMEDs. Like, so obviously we're like, there's fucking grenades like everywhere, and these like these fucking badass dudes that are going out doing these raids every single night that they're losing fucking countless guys constantly. These, you know, these special forces guys. You know, I look in the back and there's a dude that he don't look alive, but they're trying, but he's got some kind of information that's really important to them to keep getting the bad guys. So I was like, so we're just like, fucking go, dude, like go get them there, you know, and they like speed off. And like, there's times, dude, where we had to like, they'd bring, whether it was civilians or like targets or whatever, bringing in, and we had to, they bring them in dead, dude, and we would actually have to like search them, like the bodies and like shit like that. And that shit fucks with you. And
no, that's
so
beyond fucks with you, dude.
Yeah, so it's like it was just a lot of that shit, man. And that deployment after that, you know, some other shit happened. The one thing that really like resonated with me was the amount of US forces that were killed while I was there, because they had something called the Patriot Detail. And basically what the Patriot Detail was it means that a US service member was killed and they're putting them on the plane to go home. And these units were these Army, Marine, Navy, the SEAL units were so inundated with missions, dude, that they couldn't even they couldn't always send people to put their dudes on the plane to go home in their box. To the point where they'd be asking us to go and like line up and help them bring it on, dude. And they're asking us to do that. It was a point where it was like, it almost felt like every day, every night, they're always like, hey, we got a Patriot Detail. Can anyone make it out there? And so we'd fucking put our shit on and run out to the tarmac, dude. And, you know, you're sitting there saluting, it sucks because then in my mind, I was like, I'm just saluting a box, because dude, it's at the point where they don't even give you like names. You don't even know the name. There's so many coming through, dude, that didn't even know the names or anything. You know what I mean? It's just a box with a flag, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 at a time, and it was just constant. And I remember my buddy TJ, who's still a good friend of mine, he got out right after the deployment, but it was so bad, dude, that I remember he telling me a pararescue unit, which is like their Air Force. They're kind of like the Air Force medevac, but they're combatives. So they do search and rescue, combat search and rescue. So like they don't have the cross on the side of the helicopters, and they can carry guns. Because if you have the cross on the side of the helicopter, you can't be armed. It's like Geneva Convention. Like, dude, shit. They had shit going on so fast that they would call, down to whoever to be like, hey, we have a downed eagle or whatever. So get like mortuary affairs, whoever, like to meet us, but we got to turn and burn because we got another one to go fucking do. And he's telling me the story. I wasn't there with him, but he was working the entry control point of the tarmac, and it got to the point where they were taking the litters and the body bags and just placing them on the ground and then taking back off. And like they would just be sitting there because they just couldn't turn and then the mortuary affairs would come out in their cube, like a literally refrigerated cube truck, and come out and grab it. But like it was happening so fast, they couldn't even get out there in time to like, so they just had to drop it and go to try to save some more dudes wherever they were going. And yeah, that was kind of a wild story he was telling us. But yeah. Wait, so
I got a question real quick. Yeah. Like, you're in the, like, dude, I am sitting here, like the hair is up on the back of my neck. Like, this is so gnarly, man. I am so sorry that you went through this. Like, I mean, thank you for your service. Like, I fully appreciate
that. I appreciate that.
are you compartmentalizing all of this? Like, how are you even processing this stuff? Because like you
So
said in therapy, they tell you the monster is bigger in the closet than it is on the floor. But
yeah.
like,
Um
uh, how do you go about this? Like, are you even at like a win-loss scenario? Like, this is what winning looks like, or like where are you at with this?
so dude, I like you nailed it. I compartmentalized it for so long, and I took way too long to talk to somebody. And I still get like teary eyed a little bit when I'm talking about this stuff. And dude, it's
With good fucking reason.
yeah, and
Yeah.
like, dude, grown men cry, man. Good,
Hell
especially
yeah.
when you've gone through traumatic shit, and that's okay. But
Fuck yeah.
I would never talk about shit, and the problem is like, and I could probably speak to it a little bit later too, but it was tougher for us, I think, in my unit because we were just the Air Force dudes. Like, like in that mission, in that deployment, we were just in like securing the perimeter, inside the perimeter, while the other guys go out the outside the wire and getting fucking their limbs blown off and getting killed constantly and blown up by IEDs. These guys were just taking, mortar fire and stuff. So, dude, we felt like we all just bottled it up because we felt like pussies, because we weren't, like, for that mission we weren't outside the wire, doing that. So it was just kind of like no one talked, and I kind of turned back. So when I got back from that deployment, dude, I kind of turned back into like a super angry person.
Yeah.
That like young bullied kid like kind of came back. And I luckily never so soon thereafter that deployment as well, I had met my first wife. Her and I were together for we were together. The unfortunate part was like it was a super toxic relationship. We were together. I think the first stint was good, and then dude, so I was home for about 7 months, and then they told us to pack your shit, we're going again. And I was like, what? Like but I was a young kid, and I was like, it was like in my mind at first I was like, fuck, I don't want to go again already. And then like Mike comes up and he's going again with me, and we're not sending a team of 13, which is just a squad for us. I think we end up sending like 33 this time. So we sent 2 squads and a headquarters package. So now like our commander's going with us and stuff. Right back to the same place.
So it's the buddy system, but on steroids now.
Yeah. Dude. So we're basically sending our entire squadron. So like before we were like, it was cool because we were just like the small team that went, and we were home for like 7 months, dude. And we got home late 06 from that first one, and we started spinning up summer of 07. And then we were back in country. We did like the pre-deployment shit and everything again. We were back in country, I think February of 08. I was back there. So in my mind,
before we get into it,
yeah,
you're going back and now you know what you're going into. Are you automatically trying to numb your brain ahead of time, or are you just in full fear, or what's going on?
So that's exactly it. So we try to, and this ended up kind of be a huge like reason why I kind of went through like some mental health shit. So like the guys I went through there, the team, there's a few of us from that first team that was going back again, to include my friend Mike and a couple others. And we were like, we sat them down. We're like, hey guys, like no bullshit. Like this is the kind of shit that's going to go on. And we, now we've done a real deployment. So these other people like, holy shit. They like listening to us. Like, this is like the kind of shit we're going to see, we're going to do. Like, it's going to suck. You're going to see shit you don't want to see, like whatever. We go to training, the same training I did before, essentially. Kiss the girlfriend at the time, goodbye. Like, and we get there, dude. And in my mind, I'm a little nervous because I hadn't I was still kind of mentally not there from the first one. I hadn't mentally recovered.
Yeah,
Dude.
we hadn't even talked about it, right? So
Yeah.
it's just all stuck.
Dude, we get there and it was like a switch had flipped. Not fucking shit happened the whole time we were there. It was the worst fucking deployment. And then what it kind of turned into is all those dudes that we kind of hyped it like, hey, this is the kind of shit you have to deal with. Now they're like, what the fuck you guys talking about? Like, this is what, like, you know what I mean?
You're like,
yeah. So now we look like idiots. So now we look weak.
Yeah.
And I don't like, and obviously I didn't like that. So
No.
that kind of put me into it. So not shit happened on that fucking deployment. We went there, we're there for like 7 months and we came home. And that entire deployment, dude, I fucking struggled. I didn't want to be there. It felt like every day was Groundhog Day because it was so tedious and boring and nothing happening. Like, I wanted that crazy shit to start happening again because I was so fucking bored. I was sick of just twiddling my thumbs. I was just angry, dude. I was like, I had almost gotten into a couple fights with people and like shoving matches and shit. And I was just, dude, I'd never been so angry for nothing.
Well,
I was just mad for nothing.
Yeah, dude. But like you, like not only you were telling these guys, like you, because you know you haven't talked about anything, so it's just stuck in your head. It's stuck in your chest. You're sitting there, you're just pumping yourself up, like you're getting ready to go back into like the worst thing you've ever experienced in your entire life, and you were just waiting for that shoe to drop. And so when that shoe's not dropping, you just have this constant buildup of tension. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You were just like lit dynamite, you know, like a rat trap getting ready to snap. Just hasn't happened yet.
So basically I was just super angry that one. So we did like I said, nothing happened. We went there for 7 months, came home, and at this point I was I went full time like active duty through the National Guard AGR program. So that was like my full-time job, dude. Moved into an apartment with my girlfriend that would become my wife, and goddamn, dude, I was just miserable. I was so miserable. Me being miserable and just being an angry person like turned my like relationship shitty. And it just turned into like infidelity and just like drinking. I never had like a drinking or drug problem, anything like that. Like I could always shut it off, but like
there's coping though.
I was just an asshole. Like I was such a fucking asshole. And you know, like I said, the infidelity, just going out, fucking having fun, doing stupid shit. And dude, it went on like that for fucking 3-4 years, man. It was just like I'd go work the grind at the fucking base, come home, be miserable, fucking go do some stupid shit with some other chick that I shouldn't be doing it with, and just because I wanted like the attention, because my mind was just so fucking, I felt like my mind was so broken. Like I was just like I felt like a shell of my old self. I felt like my old self, like happy-go-lucky kid, was just dead. And,
dude. So are you feeling like there's almost like a void you're trying to fill, or is it just something to distract yourself because you don't like where you're at? Like, what do you?
I felt like I always needed to have some kind of adrenaline rush, and I couldn't figure out how to scratch the itch.
Yeah.
So I like buy fast cars. I drive like an asshole. You know what I mean? Like stupid shit like that. Buy motorcycles and just drive like a total idiot. Drink, go out bar hopping, and then fucking how I didn't end up splattered on a fucking back road somewhere. I still don't know to this day. And so I went through a lot of turmoil with that. Just a shitty relationship. Like at this point, she was trying, but then
you weren't.
Yeah, and then she became she started like the infidelity stuff, and we both did. And and I don't blame her, dude. I don't blame her one second.
No.
And I still don't to this day. Because I was doing the same shit. You know what I mean? It's like I was mad then. I was like, how the fuck could you do that?
How dare you do that to me?
Yeah, and like in my mind, I was like, she doesn't know about like the shit I've been doing, so I can hold her accountable for her shit. But we end up so we went through this, and I kind of feel bad that we both kind of went through this. We go through these cycles of like, oh my god, our relationship's so bad. Let's get engaged. That'll make it better. That'll make it better. So we got engaged. So we get engaged, and next thing I know, dude, I got orders, and we got a mission to Afghanistan. So
this is term number 3.
This is 3. So this was in end of 13. I end up getting like, hey, we're going to Afghaniland. And at this point, I'd like bought a house and stuff, like living with my fiance, still the same house I'm in now. And the dog, the whole 9 yards. And I had ranked up. I was a little, I'm older, a little bit more mature. So now, like in 13, like, oh, these are like, there's a couple of us went on that deployment. Like, oh, dude, those are like the OGs from like the first Iraq deployment. So let's listen to these guys. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're the legends right now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And
that builds you up a little bit. That mean you're like, yeah.
Oh hell yeah, it did.
Oh, yeah.
It did. Because now I was in a mindset of like, dude, Afghanistan was new for me. I hadn't been there. I was going in and seeing I'd go in the skiff, where you'd have all the reports and stuff, like the secret, top secret, all that shit. Mm-hmm. And I'm reading like the reports of shit going on. I'm like, okay. I was like, this is fucking no joke of like the place we're going. I'm like, they had just gone through what they called a complex attack on I was at Bagram Airfield, in the Hindu Kush Mountains, but we're reading the intel reports, and they just had what it was a complex attack. The Taliban fucking stormed over the walls, dude. And oh yeah, there's like I've seen it's. Whoa. I'm sure it's somewhere on the internet. Someone's leaked it, but we were watching the PTIDs and like the Predator drone footage of it happening. Like, and we're like, fuck, that's where we're going. Like, saddle up. And so the cool thing is, like, I had matured my military career. I'd ranked up. So I was going as an assistant team lead. We're sending 2 squads, so 26 guys. We're all supposed to go to Bagram, right outside of Kabul in the Parwan province. And when we're down, so we had to go through like 42 days of straight training for this one, because originally we were supposed to go to do like straight up like door kicking outside the wire missions. So we did 42 days of training, straight training, no days off. Down back again at fucking Creech Air Force Base, down Nevada, sweat my dick off. And what I will say, dude, is that place is like right outside like Area 51, so you do see some like weird like lights and shit. So I will confirm that. But dude, that's awesome.
Thank you for saying that. But I was gonna ask you earlier.
Yeah.
I'm like, nah, I'm gonna let that.
Yeah,
go.
so it's right outside there. You do see weird shit at night because there's no fucking light pollution where I was and stuff. But anyway, so we go there. We go to Afghanistan. We fucking land in there, dude, and it was like. It was almost like the Iraq deployment all over again, like that door opening, because it was different. Like we get there, dude, it's fucking cold. You know what I mean?
What?
Like we're way up in the Hindu Kush Mountains. Like I'm like, whoa. I was like, the air is thin because we're so high up. It was just different. So I'm getting my, as an assistant team lead, I'm kind of wrangling up the troops, like getting them out there, like, hey, we got to go drop off our weapons, stuff like that, into the armory. We found out our mission was not the outside door kicking. We were the perimeter response team. So like that complex attack that happened. So our basically our sole mission was to just make sure that doesn't happen. Yep. You know what I mean? You're the guy on the wall. Yeah, exactly. So right off the rip, dude, fucking shit just starts happening there. Like that place was like the fucking Wild West, man. and right off the rip, my team lead that deployed with me got fired, and I became the team lead of. So because of all that shit that had happened, they actually gave us a squad of army dudes as well. Army infantry, which is something I'd never done before. So now I'm leading. So I was leading 123 guys, 123 guys on my fucking mission team. And some of them, like, I forget, it was like 15 to 20 of them are army cats, which is not something I've ever done, like led like army dudes before. And I was just at E6 at the time. Like, this is like an is seasoned E7 job. And they're like, here you go, pal. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like
garden
beat right
hose,
to the
learning from
yeah,
a garden hose,
yeah,
drinking from a garden hose
exactly.
again, huh? Or fire hose, yeah.
So, dude, right off the rip, Taliban's just fucking launching rockets at us constantly hitting the base, the perimeter, like the walls, dude, it was almost every night, dude. And the one where this was tough was when I was in Iraq, dude, our downtime was our downtime. Our non-mission times are non-mission time. Mm-hmm. Here, dude, it's like they don't care. It didn't matter if you're sleeping, fucking showering, shitting, fucking working out. If they start hitting us, attacking us, you fucking get your kit and you go. It doesn't. We don't care if you're in your fucking skivvies. Put your fucking kit on and get out here. So it was like, dude, I felt like I didn't sleep that entire deployment because it seemed like all my rest cycle is they would like lob some rockets at us, which means we have to run to the gun trucks, grab the guns, fucking put it on the crows or whatever, and
you're responsible for a ton of guys. But the first time you're in combat series, like you're just one of those guys. You're this 20-year-old kid, and now you're responsible for all these 20-year-old kids.
And it's crazy too. So another one of our jobs was anytime these so we would stay inside the perimeter, making sure that if they start jumping the walls again, we fucking just cook them. You know what I mean? And we just shred them up. And there's some guys on towers like sporadically as well, just watching outside the village. Cause like around, so we have like some areas where a village, some areas where a market, some areas were just fields with fucking goats. Some areas were like this, that, like it was all different around the entire fucking perimeter. Cause it's a big base. And, so they would shoot rockets, it was always rockets at us, Chinese rockets. And the reason why I know that is because sometimes they wouldn't go off, dude. We go look and it's just all Chinese writing on the side of these fucking things. And so another one of our job was to fucking find these. So we had the technology to know we'd track these with the phalanx. They would track these fucking rockets and know exactly where they're gonna land. So you get a little bit of a heads up.
That's nuts. And, that's cool. I mean, that's cool, but like, holy cow, like I didn't even know that.
Yep. So, so if they didn't go off, a lot of them didn't go off. It would happen a lot. So we'd have to go up. And, the one thing I didn't do is so we would have to mark them. We would have to mark the unexploded ordnance for, EOD or whoever to come out. Mm-hmm. And one thing I never let happen is as long as I was out there, I was always the one to mark them. I never let my dudes get too close.
That's rough, dude.
I don't know. It's just something I didn't like. I was like, dude, if this thing's going to go boom, boom, as I'm walking, like, it's going to be me walking up. Like, I'm not living with that shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
I mean, that's natural leader quality.
my home life's a fucking mess. Like fucking my chick's probably fucking some other dude as I'm doing this right now. So it's like I don't give a fuck, dude.
Let's do this.
Yeah. So
but still, I mean, that dude. First off, that's beyond honorable of you. But second off, like that's like quality leader move right there.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. It's just it just felt like the right thing to do. You know what I mean? Because this is my first time on a deployment, like being the guy. So it's like, dude, I was the assistant guy going in, so I didn't get all like all the leadership shit. I had to like teach myself. You know what I mean? And but it was actually kind of funny. It was so we would mark these things because it always happened at night. We'd mark them with the chem lights. You know, the chem sticks where you crack and fucking shake them and. Mm-hmm. There was one dude where it was fucking like there's one rocket sitting down there and it's like windy as shit, dude, rainy. I was like, oh, it's fucking right there. So I like crack it, dude. And I'm like toss it just so it's like in the vicinity. And like, dude, I toss it and like the wind like picks up and all you hear is I see it and I'm like, oh no, the wind took it and you hear ding right off the I was like, oh my God. But
somebody give me new underwear.
yeah, dude. So it didn't go off, but yeah, so that was a gnarly deployment in the aspect of I learned more in my career on that fucking 7-month deployment. Or I learned more on that 7-month deployment I did my entire career because I learned so much leadership, skill, actual like job knowledge, skills, and like luckily I reached out to like army dudes and like there's SEALs out there and special forces guys. I would like, dude, they would like because they were grinded too, like they were busy as fuck, and so yeah, it'd be like, hey man, like how would you handle this? How would you handle that? And because you see them in the gym and stuff, and they'd be like, oh fuck yeah, and they loved it, The SEALs have more of like that, like I'm too good for you attitude, but like the special forces dude, they're like, yeah, dude, let's talk, like,
yeah.
And but yeah, so I did that deployment. Nothing. It was just like, dude, we're just getting hit every night. Nothing too. I mean, there was just so much shit that happened that deployment. We're like I said, we're taking the rockets. We take sporadic fire from like the village, like small arms fire and stuff like that. Not too much like with I did have some of my guys that would have to CASEVAC and shit. Rockets would like fucking come into and just smoke somebody, or like people take shrapnel and stuff like that. But it was more of a like there was a lot of times where I was kind of like more behind the scenes because they made me and I had to be. But got that deployment done, got back. I did that one 14 into 15, so I was there for the holidays. I turned 30 there and shit, and yeah, great gift.
30,
But
30. Yeah.
Yep. So I get back home and to the girl for our fiance. We end up getting married not too long after that. Because our relationship was still sucking, so we're like, well, let's get married because that'd always fix it.
Yep, every time.
And but again, it was just kind of like that, dude. That was when I was starting to realize that, like, okay, like I think this shit my past is kind of fucking with me. This is when I was noticing that I was getting like super like bad anxiety, depression, like shit like that. Like I was getting really depressed and shit. And and the I'll never forget, dude, I love this kid to death. So my buddy Mike that joined with me was my best man at my wedding. We're shooting like fucking shots of like the little nips of like Fireball and stuff like that, like before the wedding. Dude, I was cooked at the altar.
Yeah.
Cooked.
Yeah. Just
sweating, fucking sweating. Dude, Mike pulls me. He's like looking at my jacket and everything, and he kind of takes me. He goes, "Hey, dude." He goes, "I love you." I was like, "I love you too, dude." He's like, "You sure you want to do this?" And I was like, "Oh my God, you're serious?" Like at first I was like, "Ha ha ha." I was like, "Dude," he was like giving me like the stare. He's like, "No, dude, like I'm serious." And I was like,
buddy system, let's cut and run.
I was like, well, you do. So, well, I was like, well, I don't know now. And great. So yeah, so that happened. Got married. I was married for so hold on, let me back up. So that was a time where I like in around like the wedding time. So this was 16. Like, yeah, I got back in 15, got married in 16. But this is the time that I really knew that there was something wrong with like my mental health. Like my mental health was bad. And that's when I was like, okay, I gotta stop being tough. Something's wrong.
Yeah.
Like,
so
can
we talk about this for just a little bit? Like, was there something that like was audibly or like just noticeably out of place? Was it like you're waking up and you don't know where you are, or not from drinking, but like you're literally completely disassociate? Because there's a term called disassociation. It's when you separate yourself from the situation, whether it be emotionally, mentally, physically, whatever. So
Dude, so with me, like, I like situations to where I knew I was going to be like around people or involved. I started to get this super like anxiety when it was going to be around a lot of people or something like that. I would have what I didn't know what they were at the time, but I was having panic attacks.
Oh yeah.
Um
Yeah.
so bad to a point where I would almost pass out.
Hmm.
And I didn't, dude, I thought I like had fucking like cancer or something, I thought I was dying. You know what I mean? Cuz I just didn't know.
Yeah.
And
No.
because and like being the fucking a dumb guy like we all are, I was like, well, I'm not telling anyone about this. You know what I mean? And
Yeah. And to be honest, dude, 2015, 2016, you're talking about this around this time. Like, still, it may be prominent in mental health in those years, but it wasn't
yeah.
prominent like common knowledge for panic attacks and
Yep.
anxiety. Like those weren't
Yep.
really talked about,
Yep.
So you're just shooting in the dark. Like, I got brain cancer.
Yeah, dude. So
So continue. Sorry.
some crazy things happened in like a year, dude. So I got married.
Yeah.
Got divorced.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, this really is a bad idea. I was riding my motorcycle a lot. I joined like a veterans club. I thought that would help me.
Mhm.
Awesome guys. I still love all of them to this day. Had to get my patch back because I realized it was not good for me. All I was doing, dude, was drinking and driving my motorcycle like a fucking asshole because I missed the adrenaline. I didn't know what was wrong with me. I didn't know what was going on in my brain. I knew I was wired differently from that 21-year-old kid. And I would get on that bike. I would get fucking shit house, go out drinking, bar hopping. I would get on that bike and just hit the throttle. And we're talking like a Harley Road Glide, not a small bike. And I would just
That's a good bike, by the way.
yeah,
Continue.
appreciate it. So
Yeah.
I would just throttle as much as I can, go as fast as I can, dude. And like there would be no noise. It would just be tunnel vision, dude. And like it was just like I was somewhere else. If that makes sense. Like I just wasn't in the moment. It was like one of those things where I just kind of felt at peace, like cuz my brain had been working. There's nothing scarier than when your mind or your brain's not working the way you want it to or need it to. And that was like one of those things that just kind of kept me going. Like I would do that stupid shit, anything that like adrenaline, and it just ended up being like just riding my motorcycle fast and stupid. Like how I didn't end up dead on the side of the road somewhere. I mean, I'm super thankful for it. But I was doing that. And then like a crazy series of events happened to me, and we'll talk about it, but I ended up having like a breakdown. Like I had a breakdown, and but what led to that is so I talked about my cousin Richard a little bit that I grew up with.
Yeah.
He ended up, I get a call one night, and he ended up hanging himself in his closet and killing himself, and never left a note, nothing like that. Still to this day, dude, we don't know why he did it. He was a year younger than me. And just, dude, that just like, I wasn't close to my family as much anymore, but just, dude, it just destroyed whatever was left with that. Everyone was just so destroyed from that. And,
yeah, because there's like the blame, the anger, the frustration, like that. Yeah, it gets
yep,
gross real quick.
Yep. And I struggled with that one. That was the first time I was like, okay, like my other cousin Mandy called me. She's like, this happened. I'm like, oh man, that sucks. Okay. And then, dude, I got home and like my first wife was there, dude, and I just cried the hardest I ever cried in my life. Still to this day, I think. And that's when like my mental health spiral started. I think that was like one of the real reasons, because soon thereafter that I got divorced. I didn't know what I was going to do with life after that. I was like, how the fuck am I going to afford my house, my cars, like everything? I was like, why did I even get married in the first place? But the good thing that came of that is, as right after I got divorced, I met Meg. Meg she saw me go through it, dude. And she was right there by me. So look back up. Meg and I met each other when we were both going through the divorces. Yeah,
Okay.
we were both going through divorces, and dude, she is the best thing that's ever happened to me. She's probably the reason why I'm still alive today, because I don't know what the fuck, where I would have been, what I would have done.
Well, shout out Meg, because I'm glad you're fucking
yeah,
here, dude.
yeah.
Shit.
And dude, she fucking went through it with me. So we literally were like together while we were still going through our divorce. So, like, we met each other, and it was just like, it's super like cliche and everything, but when you know type deal. And I was like, we were just so alike. And I was like, this, I'm gonna be with this chick the rest of my life. And I knew it that right off the rip, dude. And so we're doing that, and then we're dating, kind of like, together, and then we find out Emma's coming. So we find out she's pregnant.
Hell yeah.
Which was super exciting for me because I hadn't had any kids yet. We tried, never happened. And but I was still going through my mental health stuff really bad. Meg, she's like, dude, I was like, we hadn't been dating that long, and like, dude, she stood by my side that entire. She should have been like, this dude's fucking cooked. Like, I need to get out of here. And she stood by my side the entire time. She got me through some, just absolute anxiety attacks, panic attacks, just whatever fucking attack when I didn't know what was going on. Like, she was there and with me, and I would just cry it out. And she kind of asked me, kind of like, she never pried about what I did or what I've seen, where I've been. She said, when you're ready, I'm here for you to, and I was like, I appreciate that, but I wasn't ready. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
at that time, I wasn't ready.
Yeah, but that's probably the best thing that someone could have ever said to you at that time, like, period.
Yep. So I'm feeling like I'm still struggling with the mental health stuff, but I'm feeling like I'm and also when I met her, she just like, what are your hobbies, stuff like that. And I was like, man, I love fishing. I was like, I kind of like haven't been doing as much, all the deployments and stuff. She's like, you need to start fishing again. She's like, if that's what you love, you need to do it. And that was when I started to like really get back into fishing hard, was, back in 17. So I caught that bug again, but at that point it wasn't like, it was helping, but there was still something wrong. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I was finally getting back into fishing, got a boat, all that jazz. And we're living together. We're like, shit's happening fast between Meg and I, but it's okay. Like, a lot of times when shit's happening fast, you're like, oh, this ain't good. Like, this, we might be moving too fast. But I never felt that way with her. Like, neither one of us did. We're like, no, this is just, we felt like we'd been with each other for years. You know what I mean? And
yeah.
So
yeah, I mean, the
yep.
When there's the closest of two hearts, it's like there's no age or time to it. Like,
exactly.
You guys just know, like, this is it, and we're here.
Yep. Exactly. And dude, we just meshed well. I mean, you've met Maggie, so she's awesome. Yeah. And so now Emma's coming. I'm super excited. Like, it's something, another thing I have to look forward to finally. Like, my mom was super excited. I
do have a question.
Yeah.
You're having your first child.
Mm-hmm.
You had a stepdad, but you never had your dad. Was there any fear behind it? Was that even relatively like flowing around your brain? Like, how am I going to do the dad thing? I only know my stepdad, who's like pushed me to do everything. Like, did you have any fear behind that or anything?
No, because it was at that point where, I was 34 years old at that point. And I was just like, I was with my ex-wife. We were only married for a year, but we were together 11 years, dude. And a lot of that, we tried to have kids. It just never happened. So I thought I was broken.
Okay.
Thought I was broken. I'll be honest. Meg and I, we went out drinking. We pulled the goalie one night, and here comes Emma.
Dude, so you're definitely not broken.
Yeah. I was like, oh, well, but Yeah, dude. So my mom's super excited. It was good to see because my mom, like, I didn't talk about it much, but I talked about my mom had skin cancer. And through all this too, that was kind of tough on me. My mom beat the skin cancer, gets diagnosed with thyroid cancer.
Oh,
Beats it for the most part. It kind of spread a little bit, but she was good. Like, she wasn't healthy, but she was good. You know what I mean? She was
tough lady,
mom.
dude.
She was tough as fuck, dude. And so we're ready. We're like doing we're Emma's like coming, dude. We like moved in. So I kept my house through the divorce, thank God. And we moved into my house. Or Meg moved her and like the boys when we had them into our house. And Emma was scheduled for a C-section, right? Or Meg was scheduled for a C-section for Emma. The night before, we're like all amped up, excited. So we're like, hey, like I had a dog at my other German Shepherd that had passed, but we're like, let's go to Petco, get Rocky some stuff. Like, we'll go kill some time, whatever. She's like, yeah. My mom's super excited. She's like, all right, when do you want me to come to the hospital? Blah blah. I was like, well, meet us like I was like, we're gonna be there at 9. Like, let us roll in. Like, come roll in at like 9 or like 10 or something, or whatever. That was like the morning before. We're at Petco. I get a call from an aunt. I look at my phone. I don't hear from her very often, and I answer the phone, and she says, "Hey, sorry, this one's tough for me." She goes, you need to get to the hospital right now." I go, "What do you mean?" She goes, "I don't know, something happened to your mom. She just kind of like passed out. She won't come to. They gave her 24 hours."
Dude.
So, and I was I was super close to my mom, and cuz she was she no matter what, she always made like she worked her ass off, dude, and she was like you said, she like through the cancer and all that, she still worked. She just did awesome, and she was a tough lady, and it was just weird because I just talked to her that morning, making plans when she's gonna come to the hospital, and so we got in the car. We left Petco, got in the car, dude. I drove to Boston, and that's like an hour and a half or about an hour where I was, and she was basically, long story, we still don't know fully like what happened. Her like organs just shut down. They think she had some kind of infection or something, and when I got there, she was already out of it. She was already pretty much done, and that was so we're in the room. It's like the critical care ICU or whatever, and so now I'm like, well, in about 12, not even 12 hours, in 10 hours, Meg's supposed to go in and have a C-section of the baby. I'm like, I guess we gotta like Meg's like, I can reschedule it like it's a C-section. I'm like, yeah. And then my stepdad's like, don't do that. He goes, that's not what your mom would want. Because my mom, she didn't have any grandkids at the time, so my mom, she never lived through grandkids, so she's like, your mom would not. That's not what your mom would want you to do. So she was still holding on. We had to go. So I had to go into the room and essentially say goodbye to my mom because I knew she wasn't gonna last much longer. And so I did that. I just went in there by myself, dude, and I just basically just told her like she was out of it, dude. Like she wasn't responding. Like, she would make noises here and there, like, but just told her like, man, I'm sorry I was an asshole at times. And like, man, you're the best mom. You did the best you could. Like, I'm so thankful and happy for you. And dude, that was rough. I left. I left the hospital. Like, and that was so weird, dude, because it was like at what point do I leave? Like, you know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah,
because and my dad's like, we'll keep you updated. Like, the doctor's like, no, she's like, it's gonna be like any time now. Like, and so we hopped in the car and we head back from Boston. We're about an hour and a half to my house, and I didn't say a word, and Meg didn't press. She just sat there and just kind of, rubbed my leg and my head and stuff as I'm driving, and she just let me be in my zone. You know what I mean? She didn't push or say anything. She just knew, like, she just let me be in my zone, and where I was about to become a dad in like 6 or 7 hours. So that was
about to be
another,
like it's supposed to be the happiest time of your life.
yeah,
You're like,
yeah. So, literally, we got back to the house, got about 2 hours of sleep, and we headed to the C-section and go have Emma. Luckily, I don't know if it was like, so we go in, we got scheduled. Meg, I didn't know this at the time, but I must have gone to the restroom or whatever, the doctors, and she kind of informed them of kind of like what I was going through at this time, like, hey, but they didn't say nothing. They were just kind of like, hey, just so you know, like, be gentle with, you know what I mean? Be gentle with him right now. Like, he's kind of emotionally like out of it. And, but dude, like, so it was weird. It was like, I don't know if this was my mom that helped me do this, but it was like that anxiety and that sadness from her. She's still holding on, and she was still holding on to this. So we're at the hospital. I texted my dad. He's like, dude, she's still holding on. Like, she's still like at him. I'm like, okay. And like, it was weird, dude. It was like the sadness just kind of lifted. And now it's just like excitement, total emotional roller coaster. But
oh yeah, dude, and you're still like not emotionally sound, like you're still trying to go through your stuff. So like, dude, that roller coaster that must have been so wild.
Yeah. Dude. And so yeah, dude, so we have Emma, C-section, a couple of complications with the C-section, but we have Emma. First thing I do, dude, is I snap a picture of my dad, or my stepdad, and he was able to show it to my mom, because, dude, my mom was so excited for Emma and her first grandchild, and showed her the picture, and about 20 minutes later, or showed her, like, she wasn't 2 or whatever, but she had her eyes, she would open her eyes on occasion, and he showed her the picture, and about 15, 20 minutes later, she passed away. So she got to see Emma. It was, it was by the phone or whatever. But so yeah, so it was tough on my stepdad and my sister. Like, flew in. So my first sister, she lived in Michigan at this time, and she flew in like overnight, and she just made it she was there with my mom when she passed. So was my other sister, my stepdad. But dude, it was wild for them too, because my mom passes away, and now they gotta come to the hospital and meet to meet Emma. And dude, there's so much
same time. It's so
there was so much crying going on, dude, and but it was weird. It was after that moment, dude. I think, like, where I told you, like, the sadness was gone. Everyone was sad. I was happy about Emma, obviously, but everyone was still sad, and I wasn't. And I was like, something's wrong. Like, I should be sad right now, and I'm not. And Mike came. There soon thereafter, because that dude's always there for me, and he came in. He's like, he met Emma, and he knew about my mom, and dude, he lost it. And where I knew something else was wrong is I didn't with him. And because dude, him and I have, like, we'd shed blood together, shed tears together, all that, and
you're just numb.
Yeah, dude, like, I was numb. Exactly, I was numb. And kind of, we get Emma home or whatever, and about fast forward about a month after that, or actually I was still on, like, the paternity leave. There's a point, dude, where everything because I had to deal with, like, because my family didn't have money, so I paid for all my mom's services and stuff, because I had some money pulled away, and Meg helped and stuff, so I paid for all that. And it was weird. Everyone was coming to me for, like, the strength and, like, the
you're the shoulder.
Yeah, and, like, dude, it was like I was just emotionless, and it was weird. Like, and I was talking to Meg. I was like, babe, I was like, something's wrong. And about a month later, dude, I literally just had a breakdown. was like everything just hit me. I was literally just at home, dude, and I just lost it. And my body just shut down. I was just so emotional. I couldn't contain myself. I literally just had a mental breakdown, and that was the worst feeling ever, because my body wasn't working, my head, my brain, my mind wasn't working. I couldn't stop crying, but I was angry. I was like throwing up, sweating. Like it was just, it was like my brain just like got a virus, dude. It didn't like, it was just trying to like restart, and it just couldn't do it. So I was like going through all like the body motions and the like the emotionals, like, and dude, it just wouldn't reset.
That's
And,
it's like a balloon in the sunshine, dude. Like,
yeah.
so you've been emotionally catatonic, for
Yep.
lack of a better word, for
Yep.
X amount of time. Like, you've had so much going on,
Yeah.
and you've compartmentalized all this other stuff in the background that, like, the balloon in the sun eventually
Yep. So
gonna pop.
that's exactly what happened. And that's when Meg was like, have you ever had like a panic attack that you know of?
Yes.
So okay, so dude, so after that, it was like that feeling where your body's weak and you like almost feel like sweaty and stuff, dude. It wouldn't stop. It was like that for days. It didn't stop.
You just want to rest. You just want to sleep.
Yeah, exactly. So that's when she's like, "Hey, you got to go get some help," and she pushed me to go get some help. And
thanks, man.
Yeah, exactly. And I did. And dude, that was the best thing I ever did. Best thing I ever did, hands down. Was to go get help, go talk to a therapist, just go figure out what the fuck was wrong with me. And dude, I just like I got such a great therapist that just took me in immediately. And I just let it go, dude. I started for like, I mean, I'm crying, like she's trying, like she's getting teary eyed, you know what I mean? I was like, I just let it all out, dude. And and that started like my mental health, like the journey of fixing my mental health. And I've been on that journey since that day. I have good days, I have bad days. I got diagnosed with PTSD, depression, panic disorder, like all kinds, social anxiety, all kinds of shit, dude. Unfortunately, I still take medication to this day. I'm really I've tried to wean off of it a few times. I've gotten close, dude, but then I just don't quite get to the end just because whatever, something, number one, the medication, it's not like a narcotic or anything, but dude, once you come off it completely, it fucks your body up, dude. Your mind, your brain's like trying to like reboot, but
full rewire.
Yep. So, but I'm on like a much smaller dose than I was before, but that's like the moment that started my mental health journey. And ever since then, I've been a huge advocate to get like, and Meg pushed me. There was a conversation that happened, because I had the boat at the time, and she's like, she knew about my athleticism, like in my athletics, like competing and stuff. She's like, you need to compete, like, and that's kind of where I got in, like, huge into like, all right, I'm gonna, like, I'm doing bass fishing, but I was still doing some trout fishing and stuff. She's like, no, she's like, this is what you're good at or decent at. Focus on this. Start competing, and that can be your adrenaline. Like, no more. She's like, no more of the fucking riding 100 miles an hour on the motorcycle. She had to put that. She had to eventually put her foot down. You know what I mean? Yeah, and I love that she did that. And
absolutely, you wouldn't have done it if she hadn't said nothing. You wouldn't have thought nothing wrong
with
it.
And like
what she's doing is she's basically telling you she's taking a passion that you have and giving you a drive for it.
Yep. And like I said, I've already said a couple times, dude, if it wasn't for her, who knows where I'd be. If I'd probably be underground somewhere at this point. But yeah, man. So fishing it turned into my like I said, my mental health journey. And that's where the story all comes together. We're into fishing, but
yeah, dude. No, wait. Before we jump into the fishing, I just need to ask you.
Yep.
Well, a couple questions really, but first off, like, Do you advocate anybody with any type of military experience? Do you believe that they should definitely seek some sort of therapy, whether it be like EMDR or trauma therapy, or is it just specific
Yeah.
psychology?
So it's dude, it's just like, it doesn't matter who it is, what they focus on, just go talk to somebody. And if you're a veteran, listen to this right now, I can tell you right now, if you're trying to play the tough guy game, like, I'm fine, whatever, don't stop. That's what I did. And it will catch up to you. You don't even need to tell anyone you're talking to somebody. Just go do it. Just go do it. And I promise you, like, I've had the opportunity to send so many of my buddies I've deployed with, because we all played the tough guy game for a while, especially with us, because most of my deployments and stuff, there's like no direct contact, it was all like indirect fire and shit like that. So like, we're like, fuck, it's like all these dudes, like, we don't want to take the space of all these dudes that were out there fucking get blown up, the SEALs, the SF guys, like.
That almost sounds like you feel like you'd have stolen valor, and you don't.
Yeah, it was almost like imposter syndrome, dude. I guess was like the best. And luckily, I was able to talk to some when I was in that motorcycle group. I had kind of mentioned it to a couple of them, and they're like, "Stop, dude," because there's like SEALs, like there's like SF guys in there. They're like, "Stop." They're like, "That's not how anyone looks at it. That's just how you think people look at it."
Yeah.
And everyone's mind works different, dude. Everyone's brain's wired differently. But I'm telling you right now, dude, you don't have to even be a veteran. If you struggle with anything, if you struggle with depression, if you just feel sad, if anxiety, go talk to someone. Just go talk to someone, a third part, someone who's doesn't have skin in the game, and who is trained to kind of like focus on certain aspects of therapy. It was the best thing I ever did, man. It was the best thing I ever did.
I was gonna say, the hardest part about today is like the internet's around, so everybody's self-diagnosing, dude, and that's like the worst thing you could possibly do. Like, 100%. In my opinion,
100%.
You can be tough, you can be weak. I can care less who you be. Just do not self-diagnose. If you feel like you have something going on, like, go talk to somebody.
Yeah,
1,000.
Yeah, and like I said, you don't have to be a veteran. Like if you, like I said, if you're just sad, if you've gone through trauma, it doesn't have whether you've gone through trauma and you're a first responder, or you were abused, or you went through some kind of abuse. Like, dude, go talk to somebody. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, your brain is not wired to deal with stuff like that. So sometimes it has to be reprogrammed, and that's okay. Like, it's okay. So yeah.
So getting into the fishing now, like,
Yeah.
You're seeking help. You're progressing mentally and emotionally.
Yep. So, dude, I found out, dude, it was like I would go out there on the water. I traded in the deep V. I got that bass boat because I was like, well, if I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna go all out, because that's what I do. You know what I mean? I don't do anything half-ass. And
plus, trout tournaments aren't that fun. They're pretty cold.
Yeah, they're pretty dumb. They're not dumb. They're fun, but I needed that fast competitive. I love to go out. I love to go out there and just, like, actually, we talked about it on Jigs and Bigs recently, like the difference between like tournament fishing and fishing the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Fishing the moment is kind of when I go out there and I just, like, I'm one with nature. Like, that's like the trips I take by myself, and I just kind of, I take it all in. I just fish. I talk to my mom. I talk to my cousin. I talk to whoever, dude. And I'm just out there, just taking it all in. But at the same time, I'm obviously got to practice my skills and my techniques and stuff. But that's when like Joe has his time with like nature, and like that's when I have the time with my mom and stuff like that. Still, I still do it to this day. But yeah, man, it's, and then like, so I tell people, like, fishing the moment is different from tournament fishing, because you don't always, tournament fishing is like, that's like my old like football games where I had that, like, I was competing, like, so now I'm like hyper focused on that, and I'm just trying to beat you. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it's different. It's two different mindsets, but I enjoy both of them, and they keep me grounded now. You know what I mean? And in the like doing the social media stuff and trying to get focus on that and dealing with that was something that, you know, my therapist had told me at one point, and Meg pushes me. She's like because I'm super it's weird because we talked like I'm super introverted, but I'm not when it's like behind the cam. Like if it's behind the camera, there's no one around, I can like be myself, but it's like, but I get like shy around the actual people. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I witnessed it firsthand many a time.
Yeah,
So,
you
like,
did. You did.
Yeah.
Yep. So, but yeah, man. So like now, like fishing is just that's my drug, dude. You know what I mean? Like, I love it.
So, dude, I love it too. But being an introvert,
Yep.
do you feel like that levels the playing field for you when it comes to group activity?
Like, so I guess I'll be 100% honest. Like, when I talk about group activities, so I don't do a ton of group activities. If we're talking like fishing tournaments and stuff, unless it's, I have a very tight circle. You know what I mean? I have like my dudes in fishing, like you guys, Zach, Bobby, and I have an even smaller circle. Like my circle has turned into like maybe 2 or 3 of my military buddies that I have left that like I keep contact with, and then my fishing circle. Outside of that, dude, it's like if you're not directly in my fishing circle or my group, like I go out there in a group setting, like tournament, I go compete, I turn in my fish, I weigh in, I win or I don't, grab my money or I don't, and I fucking leave. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's that introvert coming back to, you know what I mean?
No, that's what I'm saying. That's the perfect setting for you. You know, like,
yep.
When I mean level the playing field, like a lot of people can be comfortable sitting around bullshitting, talking about nothing for a long period of time, just with a group of guys or talking about their fish stories or whatever. And you're so introverted, you're not really into all that. You show up and you do exactly what you want to do.
That's it.
And
100%.
Like, strongest point.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And then awesome. Like after my tournament, I'll contact the dudes that are in my circle, or if there's like somebody I'm fishing that's also fishing the tournament that's in my circle, like we'll go hang out like by our boats and like just by ourselves. You know what I mean? Because you know, one thing and unfortunately in the fishing world right now, there's a lot of like drama and bullshit, and I try to stay away from that because it seems like when you do see those bigger circles of guys walking around or talking like after or during the tournament, it seems like it's always drama and just bullshit that I want nothing to do a part of. So that's definitely part of it as well. But I feel like that introvert part of me is getting better. I'm working on that, trying to. The part that Meg doesn't help with is that because she's just as introverted as I am. So that's where we kind of like don't help each other with. Because we're dudes, like she's my best friend, man. And, you know, she's helping with the mental health stuff, but she's just as introverted as I mean, you saw it in Columbus, dude. She's quiet until you get to talking to her. And,
honestly, like sometimes I find like the best quality conversations with the person who doesn't really feel like just talking about everything.
Exactly.
So,
exactly. And it's funny because like I saw the best quote the other day, dude, and I know you don't drink, and I'm like, congratulations on that. But it's like I found that out when we were in Columbus, but I saw a great quote the other day. It was like it was something if you wanna really feel emotion, they're like sit a veteran down, get a veteran drunk, sit them down, and ask them how they really like how they're really feeling. And then it said like, we promise you're not ready for that.
Yeah.
Like I thought that was like the best quote, and that's just kind of like but this kind of stuff, dude, is like good for me. I wanted to air. This is the first time I've ever aired it out to where a lot of people are gonna hear it, and I'm glad I did, dude. It felt good. It felt good to air that out, man. And
good, man. Yeah, dude. And honestly, I couldn't tell you how many people listen to this. I know there's something around the algorithm or something that will, you know, do whatever it does. But I can tell you if there's any veterans on here, this is gonna help, dude. Like,
yeah, I hope so. I hope so. And yeah, dude. So, but yeah. So now it's just fishing, man. So now like I got Emma's 5, dude. I got my stepkids. I got my sugar mama who makes way more money than me and buys me all these nice toys, like new boats and shit. and
Big old truck, dude.
because big
Giant
old
truck
truck.
with
Because
that.
I'm still rocking that military salary, dude. Like it ain't that great, but and I only got a little over a year and a half left of that, and then like I'm kicked to the curb. I'm retiring, so then I just got that pension money. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
but yeah, man, I love it, dude. It's just like that saying, like the tug is a drug. Like it's so like corny and cliche, but it's so fucking true.
Oh, 1000. I've never seen something more true. You know,
Yeah,
like,
dude. Like someone who doesn't fish is gonna be like, "That's fucking stupid. That's so gay." You know what I mean? Something like that. But it's like,
yeah, for sure.
it does sound that way. I get what you're saying, but dude, it's like, you never fish. Let me put a rod in your hand and let me get you to hook into one and tell me that that's gay. You know, and that sucks. And it's stupid.
But you have to get it all the way to the boat. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly. So, funny story. I gotta tell you real quick that I think I talked about on once before, but a quick fishing story about Zach. So I'm just gonna say, so in the actual tournament, this is a quick story. In the actual tournament at St. Lawrence River tournament day, I hook into a nice like 2-3, like probably like a 3-pounder first cast, dude. First cast. I didn't go over the whole like netting thing with Zach yet, and didn't realize he's never really netted a fish before. So I didn't tell him that like you just kind of got to put it in there, dude. I'll bring it to you, and then you just kind of scoop it, dude. We were like dancing, like he's like doing the like he's trying to like move all around and scoop the friggin' thing. I'm trying to bring it to him. I was like, oh god, like in my mind I was like, okay, we probably should have went over this, and no fault of his. It was like it was fucking funny, but yeah, dude, we like
jump in and grab it.
yeah, so dude, I get the fish there, and like it got like we kind of hit the line with the net a little bit, and that thing ended up fucking shaking off. Like he finally got it in the net, starts bringing it out of the water. It came off the hook and then jumps out of the net, and I'm like, all right, Zach, I'm just gonna go sit over in the chair and take a quick time out. You go ahead and keep fishing. You know what I mean? 3 minutes into the tournament, I'm like, oh, I'm already taking a timeout. Like, not good.
What better definition of the tug is the drug, dude? Like, you were there, you're getting all this, it's all built up, the fish is about to be there, and boom, it's gone. The first thing you're thinking is like, besides, defeat, but you're like, I need to get in there, I need to get that fish back, or I need to get a fish just like that.
Dude,
over
exactly.
Like, it just kicks it into high gear at that point, you know?
And the crazy thing about fishing, dude, when you're into it, like as much as like you or I, and again, like I said it probably 5 or 6 times already, but everyone's brain's wired differently. Like our brain is wired to where, dude, I'm sure you can do the same thing. I could spend 16 hours on the water, dude. Just throw, and I might not catch a single fucking thing, dude. But I'm just waiting for that one. You know what I mean? I'm like, just one more cast, dude. Just one more. Like it's gonna be this one. It's gonna be this one. And next thing you know, it's been 8-9 hours in
Same, dude. Same. Absolutely. Like the first time we took me and Andy we actually do it now, like every few months. We're going to take a guy's day and we're just going to go fishing, just go fishing, whether it's an online tournament for jigs and bigs or whatever. Dude,
right.
We spend like 13 hours on the water straight, bro. No stop. Like Andy's like, hey, we should eat food. I'm like, oh yeah.
I am also like that. I'll make sure I hydrate. But like eating food, like I eat food when I'm like, and then I start to realize like, ooh, I'm getting the shakes a little bit. Like I probably should eat something. That's when I'll like stop real quick and eat. But yeah, man.
So I got, dude, thank you for doing this. I got some questions for you though, like so many questions.
Yeah, dude. Sorry, I was so like long-winded.
No, dude. I couldn't have this was first off mind-blowing. Like mind-blowing to me. Like I've never been able to secondhand experience, because I will never be able to firsthand experience it and stuff. So like I've never been able to secondhand experience, much less like find a way or listen to a veteran in a way that like I've never heard the full story. I've never heard the real deal of what you guys have gone through. And so like to be able to be a part of that, like please, I would let you just keep going. Like keep going. Like,
I appreciate it, man.
Because like at that point, as not just like another guy on the other end of the line, but as your friend, like now I know like maybe another better way to be there for you or other friends who are veterans. You know what I'm saying? Like, so that's,
and I appreciate that.
Always awesome. But I do have some, like I kind of set some questions.
Yeah,
they're kind of loose this way just because, you've answered a lot of it.
Yeah.
But I would like to get the answers on this for sure. Like your biggest struggle in life right now, dude. What's your biggest struggle in life right now?
Oh man, so I would still say I still struggle with the mental health stuff, but I'm in a much better place. And maybe it's not my biggest struggle, but it's the most important struggle, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It,
Absolutely.
it's my biggest like target, like to really like get it to where I need to or I want it to be. Fishing, if I get into fishing, like I'll answer it in fishing real quick. It's like it's getting out of my comfort zone, trying something new with fishing every year. I make sure I try a different technique every year, and that's probably my biggest struggle there.
And you're going to be entering more tournaments and stuff now, yeah? You're going to
Yeah,
start
so
diving into
yeah, my
first?
overall goal is to start doing the real big boy stuff because like I said, I got a year and a half, 2 years to retire. My dream is to like get it. I would love to like qualify to like MLF or something and be like, this dude's first year, he's fucking 42 years old, like just retired military, and here he is out there. So that's like that would be my like underdog dream, my dream like underdog story. So that's what I'm gonna shoot for, man.
Okay, so I have a point here. It's called a life hammer. So a major life accomplishment. Like, what's that big thing that you can beat your chest on and be like, dude, I did that. I'm extremely proud of it.
Yeah, 100% is sticking with the military as long as I did, man. I have 22 years in right now. I'm gonna be retiring about a year and a half, a little over a year and a half, to get my top 3 in my rank, and that's so I joined active duty through the National Guard, so that's gonna be 20 years active duty. So I get the full pension right off the rip and stuff, and yeah, dude, that's probably that's been huge for me. That I stuck through all the bullshit I went through. Like they almost had to separate me when I went through that mental health shit, but I was able to, like I said, get that help, pull myself back up, prove that I'm still like mentally fit enough to do the job and to go do it. So,
Hell yeah. And
yeah.
in the job, where they got you now? Are you even allowed to
So
tell
I
us?
stayed. No, I
Somewhere?
stayed in that air base ground defense stuff and security forces. And right now I'm the legit. So I moved up. Now I'm the old crusty guy. With that time in. So now I'm up in like the office running the shop. So I'm the S4 superintendent, which is basically the logistics superintendent. So I run all the money. I like when we have to buy equipment, gear, stuff like that. Yeah, that's what I do now. So, which is cool because I like seeing all the new shit, like going out to conferences, see what we can order and like new gear to outfit the guys even better than I was. So, I enjoy it. It's tough to be behind a desk, but I still get the opportunity to go do the fun stuff in the woods and in the dirt in the field every once in a while. They always ask me to come back and show them some things. So my body's getting broken. Again, I'm almost 40, dude. Like it hurts a little bit more than it used to. Like
Yeah,
I get a little bit
absolutely.
more tired. Like wearing that gear for a long time, like hurts a little bit more than it used to. But
Dude, it sounds like a well-earned position though, for
yeah,
sure. Like being behind
yeah,
that desk, like
yep.
you earned them slick shoes, bro.
Yeah,
That's
yeah. You don't get put. Yeah, every dude, every one of my dudes that's upstairs with me, we earned it. We earned it. We put in our time for sure.
So, what's your biggest mental or emotional? The biggest mental emotional block for you right now? Like right now, not necessarily mental health, but like for me right now, as of this last month or so, like I really got to work on my temper, dude. Like I've been losing my mind lately for no
Yeah,
reason, you know.
yeah, yep.
I just let's snap on them, and that's not fair to anybody. Where are you at right now?
Dude, so honestly, I would say mine's very close to being the same. Working kind of like I don't say like I went through times where I was like an angry person, but I'm not like I never thought I had anger problems necessarily, but like I'm either like the nicest guy in the world, but when I do get angry, it's like 100. I go 0 to 100. There's no in between for me. And my biggest thing I'm currently working on is I never want to do that with the kids. I try to really hard to not do that with the kids. Yeah.
Yeah. So I have a question specifically for you.
Yep.
How is it being a father?
Best job in the world, man. I had the opportunity. I got lucky. You know, Emma's mine, but I had the opportunity to be a stepfather as well. Um, you know, obviously I learned. So my stepdad, like, which I should have I should have said at some point. My stepdad and I have a phenomenal relationship now. Like, that's my dude. We have, you know, he's he went and got help with the substance abuse stuff. I mean, and he's also 60 now, so I was like,
Yeah.
I told him at one point years ago, I was like, you're too fucking old for that shit, man. Like, cut it out. Like, and and he's like, I know. So he, you know, he goes to he still goes to meetings and stuff.
Retired the
and,
white blazer and pink
yeah,
lemonade shirt. Yeah.
yeah, dude. And he's awesome. He's phenomenal with my kids. He, even my stepson said, like, those are his grandkids in his mind, and that's awesome. And yeah, and he has a girlfriend, Sherry, who's also the same way. Like, my kids love her. They've been together for a few years now, and they're just awesome. They're I just, being a dad is great. And real quick funny story, not funny, but so I talked about, like, my real dad, who, like, kind of, like, he was actually a 1% motorcycle club guy, and who I thought was my real dad, and it was my mom's boyfriend at the time. And the story I was told, she's like, hey, you were born, I told him it's the club or it's us, and he fucking hopped on his Harley and left. Come to find out that, like, my mom, man, like, loved it to death, but apparently she was having fun back in the early 80s. Meg bought me a 23andMe kit. So that's like the DNA thing. Turns out that dude was not my dad. It was a dude that my mom had a fling with. And turns out I have, aside from my 2 sisters, I have another sister and 4 brothers that I recently, like, in the last year, we've started to become pretty close. And because it was kids I all grew up with, playing sports with and stuff.
Oh,
dude, how wild is that? So they were all like my friends growing up, and it turns out they're my brothers and sister, man. So
dude,
yeah,
dude. So a little behind the scenes on this whole thing. This is almost exactly what I asked Joe about the first time I met him. Within, like, the first 5 minutes of meeting him, like, let's make this real awkward.
Yeah.
So, but, oh my gosh, dude. So, okay, I'm gonna say something, and you can choose to answer it or not.
Yeah.
I saw this the other day, and I absolutely loved it, because it's such a wide. Zach will say I'm painting this with a wide brush, but it's just a wide point of view. And tell me if you can even wrap your head around it. But it says, if we're defined by something we love, tell me about someone or something you love.
Ooh, obviously something or someone, I could put it.
Well, as a definition of you, if we're defined by these things.
That's a good one.
Dude, right.
Dude, it's just like, I've finally come, you know, the things that have brought, like, somebody like you and I together in this world, like this fishing world. It's a sport, but it's kind of it's defined me as a person, in the aspect of it's made me a better person, along with, like, my partner in life, my wife. And I feel like it is, I'm not a super spiritual person, but it's like it saved me. You know what I mean? Like, you know, this sport, this community, these friendships I have made, whether it's through a screen, through a phone, and you know, we've had the luck of the opportunity to meet face to face, but, like, it's almost like the Venom dude from the comic books. It's like we all have this opportunity where we can, like, mesh together, be one, and be there for each other, sharing something we absolutely love to do, because we understand, like, the people who don't love it don't understand why we love it, but we understand why each other loves it, if that makes sense. And it's just like, dude, it's just like, between that and, like, and my family, dude, and, like, in this activity or this sport that I love, it's really, like, defined who I am, just made me a better person, in the last few years, a happy person. Like for the first time in my life, I'm happy. You know what I mean?
Dude, that's beautiful, dude. Yeah.
Yeah, I still like, obviously the mental health stuff's still there, but that's okay because that's who I am. Like I've come to realize and accept that's who I am, and that's okay. Like people have struggles, people have, you know, their dark sides and just like their niches, and that's me. And I've instead of fighting it, I accept it and I become better while I try to better myself and become a better person with it instead of like trying to like cast it to the side.
Awesome, dude. That's beautiful. I love
If
that.
that makes sense.
No, that totally makes sense. And I love how you define that because I couldn't find the words when
Yeah.
I asked myself that question.
Sure.
So like, dude, thank you. That's
Yeah, of course.
I might copy and paste half that stuff into my life. So I appreciate you very much.
That's all right. I'm here to share.
Yeah. So all right, last little section.
Yeah.
We're gonna talk about health a little bit. Hydration, diet. Do you do gyms?
So I don't do the gym too much anymore just because I've had so many injuries from the military and stuff. Like my back's bad. I injured my leg over in Afghanistan to where I've had to have a couple surgeries, not from like enemy contact. I literally was on a mission, like running to the gun truck without my boots tied, so I fucking had to go from sleeping to going to the gun truck. So I just like threw my boots on, I stepped in a fucking hole and like blew out my calf, dude. So yeah. So I've had to have a couple surgeries because of that. I dealt with it like until I got home, but and like so I don't work out a ton. Like lifting weights, shit like that, I don't really do anymore. I was big into weightlifting for a long time. I do a lot of walking, dude. I try to do as much walking as I can. And dude, I mean, you know how it is. You have kids, like just following them around, dude. That's plenty of fucking exercise.
Yeah. Anytime I go out with my 1-year-old, my watch will hit me up like, "Are you on an outdoor workout?"
Yeah, exactly. Are you working out? But no, yeah. So that's kind of like the physical aspect. You know, it's like fishing. Like I'm making sure I try not to sit for too long. I try to always stay. I try to always be on my feet in some way. And when it comes to like the diet and stuff, I try not to eat like an asshole, dude. Like obviously I love my sweets and stuff, but I'm very cognizant of my diet as much as I can, only because I've seen so many people like around me like just eat like shit and like just blow up essentially. Like dude, what happened to you, man? Because you just didn't care. I drink still, you know, but I socially drink. I have, you know, a beer a night or something, maybe, or every other night. Or a cocktail, but dude, I'm a pretty healthy guy. Like Meg and I, like we do, like, dude, my like she's gonna kill me for saying this, but Meg recently lost 70 pounds, dude, over the last.
Whoa, dude.
She's lost 70 pounds from when you saw her over at Columbus.
Bro, she was tiny when I saw her.
Yeah, so she, you know, she with her work, she kind of struggled with her weight a little. She's gonna kill it. Hopefully, she doesn't listen to this part. But yeah, dude, she did the work, dude, and she like we kind of changed. We promised each other that we're gonna get better, and we did. With our diet and stuff. So yeah, we and all the shit they put in food and stuff now, man. I try to keep that away from my kids and that bullshit. Like we eat pretty healthy here, thank God. And yeah, that's what I do with that, with the whole health thing.
Hell yeah, dude. Well, thank you for all that, because Joe, dude, I don't even know how to say I appreciate everything that you've said here. Like
I appreciate you having me on, dude. I kind of said, you know, when you told me you were gonna do this podcast and kind of like what the avenue with it was gonna be, I told you, I was like, dude, I think that's gonna be a time where I'm gonna let it all out. Like
I'm so glad
like
you
tell my story. I was like, I promised that to you, and obviously, you know, I was like, oh fuck, like, am I gonna be able to do this? I was like, you know what, dude, just who cares? Just let it out. Tell your story. Who cares how you emotionally react to it? Like, it's what I say to everybody, man. Like, don't be afraid to ever tell your story. Everybody's story is different, and you know what, man? I'm interested to hear it. I don't care who you are. I'm interested to hear your story. So that's one thing I promised everybody, that at my friends and stuff, like, dude, if you want to get it out and tell me your story, dude, I will sit and listen.
Same, dude. Yes.
Yeah.
That's exactly why this whole thing came
Yep.
about. And when you were talking about, all right, I'll let it all out. I'll take the gloves off. I thought you were gonna be like, screw, forward facing because of this, or I love forward facing. I had no clue that you were actually like, dude, the depth that we went to together. I'm astounded, dude. And
Yeah,
I
dude.
fully
No,
appreciate it. I'm
like,
so glad you did this, dude. I feel like a weight has been lifted off me just by
yeah.
you telling your story. Like, holy cow, dude.
I
Like,
mean, we can redo it. And I'll tell you how much
no,
I love forward facing.
no, absolutely not. That's not what this is about.
Yeah. So
I didn't know about your life as
yeah,
much as I do now. And dude,
I think it's a good thing, like, especially in like, and I have no doubt in my mind, Dave, that you're gonna get some really like high level guests on this show. And everybody knows, especially like people who are in the fishing world that are high in the fishing world, pros or, personalities like whether it be social media, TV or whatever, everyone wants to just talk fishing. I know what that person on the Elite Series likes to throw and cover. I see him do it every other week. You know what I mean? I know what their favorite baits are. I know that. But I was like, but you know what? I don't know where he grew up. I don't know, what he did in high school, what his fears are, what he struggled with. And
what it took to get where he's at now.
Exactly.
Who he is as a person.
Yep. Yep. And like, I listened to your episode with both Zach and Ryan Dahl, dude, and the one with Ryan Dahl was like, he did it perfectly, man. Like I was listening to that one. That was so heavy, dude. And I got to meet him. I got to meet him quick at the Columbus show, and man, I wish I had known then the miles that dude has walked, or like the shoes that dude's walking in. And I hope if he listens to this, like, Ryan, dude, I got much love for you, dude, and I hope I see you in Columbus again, because when you hear someone's story, dude, respect becomes different. That respect you have for someone can be different. It no matter what, it's going to be different, whether it's good, bad, or ugly. It's always going to be different. So
yeah, dude.
I came to tell my story, man. I just wanted.
You killed it.
You
killed it.
My biggest thing is I wanted people to know why I fish and why I got into it as seriously as I did and I do now. And unfortunately, I did it kind of like later in life, got serious into it. I wish I had done a little earlier, but dude, I just got some time to make up for, and I'm gonna do my very damn best to do it, and that's it.
Fuck, I'm in your corner for it the whole way, dude.
Hell yeah, dude.
Last final thing, Joe.
Yep.
I know we said it in the beginning, but tell everybody where they can find you. And are you open to, if a veteran is suffering and needs to reach out, are you open to responding to that?
Oh, hell yeah, dude. So if you're a veteran, you kind of want to talk a little bit more about this stuff, hit me up on the easiest one to hit me up on is Instagram. That's the one I check the most. American Vet Fishing. Vet is in veteran, like, so American Vet Fishing. And just send me a DM, and just like, if I don't answer right away, keep sending them, man. And if you want to talk, if you want to, I'll get you on the phone. I will FaceTime you, and I will kind of tell you like how I got through stuff, and how I kind of pointed my mental health in the right way. Or if you just want to hear about my fishing, like, dude, shoot me a DM on Instagram. I get inundated with a lot of messages. Sometimes it takes me a minute, but I promise I answer every single one. And I'm also on TikTok, American Vet Fishing, and YouTube, same handle. The YouTube, I'm learning. It's mostly like YouTube Shorts on there right now. I'm learning the whole like editing thing, and realize how much freaking time that takes, man. So yeah, I'm trying to get better at YouTube. But yeah, my Instagram, my TikTok are my big ones, American Vet Fishing. And come say hi. And like, dude, thank you so much for having me on.
Dude, thank you for being on, Joe. I appreciate you. All right, I'm gonna let you go and put you back in the green room and close this whole sucker out, because I don't even know what I'm gonna say yet.
Hell yeah, man.
Dude, thank you. All right.
Yep.
There we go. I'm slow on the computer. I'm like, that was mind blowing, absolutely mind blowing. Like I said in the beginning, like, this is a life that I don't really know very many people that have been through this. I know a few, but they've never really opened up and been able to just share. And that's kind of exactly what this format is for. So thank you, Joe, so much for doing this, dude. I really appreciate you. And like he said, if you guys are out there and you're suffering, veteran or not, there's help. Like, feel free to DM me, DM Joe, like, get a hold of us. I'm Wolf of Walmart on Instagram. It's right down here at the bottom of the screen. For the people who are listening, it's at Wolf of Walmart on Instagram, TikTok, all the social medias. Reach out. Like, you don't need to do this alone. You don't need to be by yourself about this kind of stuff. This is stuff that needs to be out in the open air. That's how the monster gets set straight. Because when you leave a monster in a closet, all they do is grow. So thank you, everybody, for listening. This was an incredible episode, and I can't wait for y'all to hear this. So, yeah, with that, I'll be out.
What's up, everybody? Wolf of Walmart. We're back. We're back, baby, again. Not a bad fish right there, guys. Oh, no.
Out here catching Folsom bass right now, dude. Woo, he's a little chunker.